So are you an ex-Muslim?
Yeah, ex-Muslim.
Ex-Muslim. Hold on, wait. You're the guy that you're the guy that you were. I've seen it the other day. You were watching that other dude. I don't know, the David guy who was like eating the Quran or something.
That's you. You watched him eat the Quran.
Yeah. I was there with him.
And you were like, you did a video or something ripping up the Quran and stuff. Don't you think?
Wow,
Like,
man, that's dirty, man.
yeah, don't you think that there's a different way to like share your opinions and you know, because share your ideas instead of like, you know, disrespecting the Quran and ripping it and eating it and acting like complete hooligans?
Of course, I think there's a different way to represent these things. I mean, we could talk about what my motives are and what ex-Muslim motives are all day long. But of course, there is a different way to express your opinions. And to be very honest, I don't think there is any point in ripping up a Quran. I think it's a completely unnecessary
So
act.
why did you do that?
I did
It seemed like you were egging it on because, you know, like I understand you're ex-Muslim and you have your own faith at the end of the day. You know, everybody Muslims have their own faith at the end of the day, but like it seems like you have like this vendetta against Muslims.
No,
you know,
no.
like
I did
like
that
you're an ex-Muslim, but you represent I'm an ex-Muslim. Like, you know, the reason it's an ex is like it should be in the past. Am I right? Like I don't know. Like
no, I did that for a very specific reason. When I ripped up the Quran on that show, for example, I explained very clearly why I was ripping up the Quran as I was doing it. So if people actually want to go there and see what I was saying as I was ripping up the Quran, what I was saying.
What's
is
the explanation to like ripping the Quran? Like tell us here instead of going on to your like tell us here like.
Of course, I will explain it to you. Just let me speak. I will explain it to you.
Yeah.
So I am doing my ex-Muslim work, right? And there was a lot of back and forth between me and Muslims, and it's all going well as it maybe should. I don't know. But recently, between me and Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawa, there has been a lot of
but this is not even about no. Sorry to cut you. This is not about Mohammed Hijab or Ali Dawa
It is.
We don't even care about them. We're not defending them at all. We're defending Islam and the Quran.
I know.
You know, you ripping up the Quran. It's like what's your defense? You're mentioning them. Muhammad and Hijab and Ali Dawa have nothing to do with you ripping the Quran. You're disrespecting billions. That's what I'm trying to say. You disrespect.
Okay, let me talk. But it has to do with this. The whole protest.
It doesn't have to do with it.
Ripping up the
Quran
have
nothing
was an act of protest. It was an act
of protest to rip
protest. What? You know how much people you're offending? You're offending so many people.
Are you going to let
for
me
no
speak?
reason?
Are you going to let me speak?
Do you believe about like right and wrong as an ex-Muslim? Like, do you believe in right and wrong?
Of course I do. But come on, I came here.
Do you think that what you did was right?
I came here so we can exchange.
Yeah, we're just asking.
I'm asking you a question. Like, do you think what you did was right though? Like, do you think that's right?
I think it was right. Yes.
You think ripping up the Quran? So
that's childish.
Just because you disagree with a certain group of people,
do you think killing people who don't believe in Islam is right?
No, we do not. We do not condone of killing. We do not.
Do you think sending?
Do
you think sending veiled rape threats?
No, if anyone changes their religion or anything, we don't condone killing or nothing.
Islamically, if you kill one person, it's like you killed all humanity. That's how precious a life is in Islam.
But you are aware that,
right?
that according to Islam, someone who leaves Islam and who openly says that he left Islam is supposed to be put to death. This is according to all Islamic jurisdictions.
No, we do not condone of killing anyone. You must have had a misunderstanding. Hold on, when you were Muslim, I feel like you must have had a misunderstanding. I feel like it's got to the point where you're ripping.
Have you not recently made a response video to me? And Ali Dawa even made a response video in which Ali Dawa clearly said
this isn't about Ali Dawa or Muhammad Hijab. This isn't about them.
It seems like it
has nothing. I don't care about Ali Dawa. I don't care about Muhammad Hijab. I'm talking about you. Why are you ripping up the Quran and you thinking it's right?
Because it's an act of.
Why are you ripping up and you're eating the Quran? You look like a child.
And the fact that you're trying to back it up as it's like some protest, like come on, that's a petty excuse, my friend.
You're disrespecting.
I don't know if I should call you my friend.
Ali Dawa recently made a video in which
Ali
he
Dawa,
explains
Muhammad
that
Hijab,
I
Ali Dawa,
deserve to
Muhammad,
be
you
put
love
to
them.
death. That I deserve to be put to death.
We do not condone. We do not. None of us condone.
So you do not agree that people should be put to death for believing Islam?
We do not condone.
No death, man.
We don't. I feel bad.
Human life is all of humanity.
You must have
look that up.
You must have misunderstood.
Then why did you put Allahu Akbar under Ali Dawa's video?
Allahu Akbar means God is greatest.
Why did you agree with his video?
Allahu Akbar.
If you were, I should be killed.
Allahu Akbar means God is the greatest. It means God is the greatest. Did you forget that or no?
It depends, like the way you take it. Like Allah Akbar probably to you means some other crazy things because you probably see things in the media, and that's affecting your small brain. But you have to understand that like It means
Slim,
if you look it up,
you both,
it's called God.
I don't think both of you are above intelligent people. I could now sit here
Wow,
and
stop playing.
insult
You said,
your intelligence.
but I don't think you're intelligent either. You rip Qur'ans for protests.
I could sit here and insult
There's so many different ways to protest.
I have a question though. I have a question, but it's not about Ali Dawah. It's not about Mohammed.
This is very childish. I didn't come here to insult you, and I don't.
No, I'm not insulting you. We're trying to understand you. Like I'm very
trying to understand me. You're not letting me speak for 5 seconds.
Speak.
You're insulting me. You're interrupting me. Whatever I said,
I never said apus. I never said apus or nothing. I never said nothing.
You typed it here on the screen. You typed apus right here on the screen.
I thought that was I don't know why.
I thought your name was apus too,
call
bro.
yourself a prophet. You know?
Yeah, of course.
But yeah. So as I was saying, I have a question. Why, why is it when someone leaves Islam, they end up putting everywhere in their bios and everywhere ex-Muslim. They're always, it's like Islam is living rent free in their heads. Like
will you let me explain that?
Yes, I will let you explain that.
How about this? Give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes and I will explain it to you. Okay.
You can have 2 minutes for what?
I will explain to you why an ex-Muslim like me, for example, or other ex-Muslims speak out against Islam and put it on their bios. I will explain it to you. Do you give me 2 minutes and promise me not to interrupt?
You need 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
You look at your phone. You can't answer it from your heart.
Fine. Give me.
Can you answer it from your soul?
No, I'm setting a timer. Can you give me 2 minutes? Can you give me 2 minutes to explain why ex-Muslims talk about Islam?
You know what? How about this? I know you kind of you offered to be on our podcast and stuff like that, and you were, I don't know, I feel like in a way you know that we're not really knowledgeable. You say that, oh, you're not knowledgeable about Islam. You shouldn't be saying that at all. You know what I'm saying? We still we're Muslim at the end of the day, but there's more scholars, there's Islam scholars, there's people who are very knowledgeable, they go to school for it and they know. So we have a friend of ours who's gonna come and talk to all of us and who's more knowledgeable about this. So come on in.
He's very educated, so you know what I'm saying? He's gonna hold it down. He's a very good friend of ours.
Who's knowledgeable and would know I
want him to be able to
who is he going to join
exchange words with you as well.
He's gonna come in.
Yo. Where's he at? Where's he at? What? In the meantime, if you want to talk about your 2 minute timer thing.
Okay, sure.
Here's a chance. Here's a chance while he comes in.
So you have asked me why people who leave Islam are so obsessed with Islam and why they make it so open that they have left Islam and why they talk about Islam. Let me tell you this. There are many ex-Muslims in the world, including me. I grew up with Islam. I was extremely religious when I was a...
Unmute them. Unmute. Ask unmute. No, not him.
Oh, wait a minute.
Go. No, ask the bottom. Yeah, that one. Ask unmute.
So go on. I'm sorry. Go on.
I was extremely religious when I was a Muslim. I believed in Islam very firmly. I was raised
Until when?
What's your nationality, by the way? I just want to know your nationality.
Turkish. I was raised with it. My parents are very religious. I was in very religious environments. And after leaving Islam, like many other Muslims, like many other ex-Muslims, I was basically shunned, basically rejected by society. But my situation is not very bad. I live in America freely right now. I have burned the bridges. I've come here. I'm free and I can do and say whatever I want. But it's not about me. It's about so many other people. In over 12 countries, it is officially punishable by death to leave Islam, and leaving Islam is today in 2020 officially punishable by death. In many other countries, it is forbidden. In many other countries, it's a social taboo. People persecute and punish their kids and their loved ones, their known ones, for leaving Islam. So people live under persecution if they leave Islam. So your entire life is affected by Islam. And afterwards, if you decide not to believe in it, just because you don't believe in it, you are also followed and persecuted for that. So it is completely normal that somebody who leaves Islam, whose entire life was defined by the fears of Islam and by the introductions of Islam, also leaves Islam.
We have our friend here who's more I
will not talk to Mohammed Hijab. Mohammed Hijab has insulted my wife.
He's really not. Oh no! You've disrespected, bro. You've disrespected.
No, I do not care.
And then you talk about
Mohammed Hijab is a scumbag.
Relax. It's not about Mohammed Hijab. No, it's not about him.
Mohammed Hijab is a scumbag. I have made a debate over. Shut the hell up. You are scared. You are scared. Everybody. I have made a debate of offer.
seems like you're running away.
I made a debate
can't
offer
hear
to
any of
Mohammed
you. Can you
Hijab.
unmute?
I made a debate
can't
offer to
hear any
Mohammed
of you.
Hijab.
He can't hear us. He
hear
can't
any
hear
of
any
you.
of us. He
Unmute.
can't hear any of us.
Oh,
I made a debate offer to Mohammed
Unmute
Hijab.
on
Mohammed
Zoom.
Hijab
Unmute
rejected
on
my debate
Zoom.
offer because
Unmute.
No, 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 no.
on Zoom.
scared to defend
I
Islam.
can't hear any of you on Zoom.
Unmute.
Unmute on Zoom.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you
Okay,
unmute as well?
Mohammed
come to Zencaster.
Mohammed Hijab
We
is
don't
here.
hear
And,
on Lancaster.
no, it's all right. We're here. Can you hear us here?
I can hear you guys, but he's gonna have to unmute if he wants to engage.
Oh, okay. Can you unmute your microphone?
I could do that, yeah.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah. Now I haven't been paying attention to what you've been saying because I can't actually hear.
Yeah, so pretty much, as I was saying, we were telling him about his childish acts that he was doing, ripping the Quran and watching that guy eat the Quran, and he's trying to defend himself, but he just kept on mentioning your name, Ali Dawah's name, which I feel like is childish. It has nothing to do with Mohammed Hijab or Ali Dawah. This is about you disrespecting, the Quran. Like, what kind of? There's different ways to share your opinions.
Okay, I have to say something very quickly. You have Adam and Slim. You have invited me here today.
Yes,
acted as if you were very genuine people. Texted me and
we're
said,
here. You wanted to be on a podcast. We have someone who's
said that I would be talking here to the
we are talking
to the two
we
of
are
you.
talking.
You didn't say anything about Mohammed Hijab. I wouldn't have come here.
I
wouldn't have come here.
He helped us, brother. He helped us. I'm sorry.
I would not have come here if Mohammed Hijab was here, because I made a debate offer to Mohammed Hijab, which Mohammed Hijab clearly rejected. Afterward, Mohammed Hijab told me to commit suicide. He harassed my wife. He tried to dox me. He made death threats. He made rape threats. He harassed people's family. He tried to dox people.
Look, listen.
He also excused people advocating for my death penalty, including he also approved of Ali Dawah insulting my 3-year-old son. Ali Dawah insulted my 3-year-old son, and Mohammed Hijab approved of that.
I just want to say one thing before you. I mean, you can go if you want to. It's just gonna say something about your spirit here.
It will say something about you. Everybody, I'm making a video about you right now. I made you a debate of you ran away. You are a pussy. You are scared.
Can you stop?
Calm down.
You seem you are a bunch of unreliable, dishonest.
Listen.
I came here in good faith.
Dishonest? We didn't say nothing.
I came here in good faith.
Listen, with all due respect, I mean, what we can do now.
I have no. You don't speak to me about. Don't speak to me
no
about
problem.
Will you take back what you have said? Will you have take back everything that you have said? I will not listen to you. Will you take back everything that you have said?
Give me a chance to speak. All I'm saying now, putting all of the hostilities and the toxicities to the side.
I will not put it aside.
Oh well, if you can't manage that, right? If you can't manage that, then you can't manage freedom of speech.
that has nothing to do with freedom of speech. That is not how freedom of speech works.
You're okay to eat up and laugh at it and rip it up, but when
you have no understanding of philosophy, that is not. Everybody, that is not what freedom of speech is about. Freedom of speech is about the fact that I can say something.
I'm not being insulting to you right now. Yeah,
you have been insulting enough.
Listen. Sorry, please. You're a person who refutes Islam intellectually. That's at least the claim that you make. All I'm doing now, we're people that have much bigger platforms than you. We're giving you a chance, okay, as an unqualified person as you are, to actually make a case against Islam.
You have made your name. You have made your name by attacking. Don't tell me about giving people platforms.
Please. We're giving you a chance. Look, I'm gonna say this.
You have made your name by attacking people. Don't talk about.
Just for a second. Stop being emotional. Be calm. All we're saying is, look. If you have a case against Islam, all I want to hear now is your strongest argument against Islam.
I will not talk to you.
Say your strongest argument. We're saying say your strongest argument
against Islam. I'm happy to hear it.
I will not talk to you. I would.
You have an argument. Listen.
Talk to me. You are talking to me. You have to talk. Look, you are talking to me. You have an opportunity now to speak in front of millions of Muslims.
I have made you an offer in which we were going to talk about.
You have a chance. The floor is yours. In front of millions of people. Millions of people. This is your chance. What we're saying is,
I have made you one offer to do exactly exactly
in front of millions
which
of
you have
people.
refused.
Listen,
No,
put the offer to the side for now.
This is not how we do this. This is not how we do this.
You said you would love to talk to him when he came
Don't be
on. You said
scared.
you would
Don't be
love to talk
scared.
to
You
him.
seem jittery. Don't be jittery. Don't be scared.
I'm not. Shut the hell up. This is not about
Okay,
being
calm
scared.
down. Calm down.
Stop being
Don't be angry.
so
Why
damn
don't you
condescending.
Take a chill pill, man.
Stop being so
calm
damn
down. We're
condescending.
talking
Okay.
normally.
Stop
Look,
being so damn condescending.
You know what I feel like? I'm gonna talk right now. I'm gonna talk.
trying to
No, I'm gonna talk. You know what I feel like? I feel like you're trying to take advantage of me and Slim because we're not knowledgeable. Mohammed Hijab is a friend of ours. He's a friend of ours. He is very educated. He is inspiring. Why are you taking off your headphones? Put your headphones on. Can you hear us?
Let me speak.
All right, speak.
Let me
Speak. Please do.
Let him speak. Listen, here
Let
he
me
said. We
speak.
just said present your strongest
I cannot
argument.
hear you.
against
Let me
Islam.
speak.
All right.
we're letting you speak. Go ahead.
Number one, let me speak. Number one, I made an offer to Mohammed Hijab, which was very clear in the very beginning, which was that we are going to have an online debate. That is the fairest discourse that you could possibly
We're online right now.
imagine.
This is not about this. Look.
Stop. Come on, let him talk. Let him talk. He's using that excuse right now because you keep
what I'm
interrupting.
saying.
All right, listen. You made an offer to debate him,
It
right?
was the fairest offer that you
guys
could
are here to
possibly
debate now.
offer in the world to
what's
have
better
an
than an offer?
actual. Because you are not letting me talk. Do you see the difference? The difference between a debate would be that I would have 20 minutes to talk. Mohammed Hijab would have 22 minutes to talk.
you
It
have
would be
10
in
minutes to talk right now.
nobody's
Go ahead.
control.
Okay. Well, listen
Nobody
to
could
it.
interrupt
I'm happy to
anybody.
give you a
And
time.
we
If
could
you want a
talk.
time, if
And
that's
we
the
could talk.
excuse-
No, I'm
if
not going
that's
to
the
talk about
excuse,
on your
look,
platform.
that's the excuse.
Number
I'm
two,
happy to give you a time.
Adam Saleh
That's the
and Slim.
excuse.
I have offered you a very clear choice and said I will come to
If
you
you want 10 minutes
and
and I'll be
talk
quiet
to
in those 10
talk to Ali Dawa and you two
It seems like we're
about
not
our
going
religious
anywhere here.
beliefs. Did I do that or did I not
Look,
do
look,
that?
look. Can I say
Once
something?
Mohammed Hijab
Can I
came in, you
respond?
said
Can I
you would love
respond
to
to you?
talk to
Can
him.
I respond?
Mohammed talk. Mohammed talk.
Yeah, look. All I'm saying is this, right? Putting all of the negotiations aside for the debate. Look, we're here and now. People on your side and my side, they want to hear an engagement. If
Are
you
you
want
gonna
me
share
to
this
be,
on YouTube?
with all due respect, we don't like each other. That's fine. You can put that to the side. You're here in front of a fresh new audience of Muslim people. All right, we're giving you a chance as someone who is a critic of Islam, a polemic against Islam, to produce your strongest argument against it. Now, what I'm going to say is this: look, I'm happy to stay quiet for as long as you want me to stay quiet. Right now, if you say, look, stay quiet for 5 minutes, stay quiet for 10 minutes, I will be muted for that time, okay? And then I'll have the same time to yeah, I can't see what's going on.
This is so
What
I don't know
childish.
what's going on here.
What are you doing?
This is so.
I don't
So
know.
you not.
Yeah, look,
Can't
look,
debate? Let's talk about now. Let's talk about now. Let's have our conversation
let's
now.
have the
Yo, should we
conversation
pull up
now.
your tweets? We're gonna pull up your tweets here. You want to pull up tweets? Let's pull up your childish tweets and the stuff.
Look,
you
look,
like.
you're just running
You
away.
are making rape
running-
implications
with
about my
these
wife. You are
anti-Muslim
making
and
rape threats
Islamophobes.
about
You
my
need to get-
wife.
That's not about your wife.
You're making
We're
rape
talking about-
implications
It's not about
about
your
my
wife,
wife.
and that's aside the point. It doesn't say your wife anywhere there. It says
You are
these.
making rape implications
We
about
are
my
talking
wife,
about-
and you are
That's nothing to do
seriously
with your wife. That has
and you are
nothing to do with your wife.
seriously
And it's not
expecting
you
me.
would love
there,
to
my
talk to
friend.
Mohammed Hijab. You
Look,
said
you have a chance.
Mohammed
to
Hijab,
engage
what would
with-
happen if
Where
I
does it
insulted
say
your wife
wife?
sexually?
Where does it say your wife there?
Right here, this is my wife.
No, that
What-
doesn't say when these Islamophobes. That's
What,
these is
what,
a pronoun
what would happen?
for what?
What
For a
would happen
woman?
if I insulted your wife?
You can do it. It's freedom of speech. You can do that if you like.
Yeah,
You insult my
would
prophet.
it be? Is it freedom
No,
of
no,
speech?
it is. You insult my prophet. You eat the Quran. You rip it up.
How,
I mean,
how about Ali Dawa telling me that
your wife
Why are you
is
so
I should have,
sensitive?
my friend. Your
how about
wife-
Ali Dawa telling me that I should have sex with my 3-year-old son?
Your wife
How
is a
about that?
public figure. Your wife is
No, she-
online on a public.
A public figure by definition is
She,
somebody
look,
who has
no
the
definition. She has a public profile. She's open
where
to
people
criticism.
know
Freedom
her
of
just
speech.
by her name.
Why is it
My
that
wife
freedom
is
of
not a public
speech is
figure.
only applicable when
That
it's
is not what freedom of speech is about. Freedom
Exactly,
of speech
exactly.
means
why can you
come
rip up the
Quran
Quran? Why can you
and
eat
Okay.
the Quran? But then
Okay.
when we come back, right, and do something against the public figure, which you might find distasteful, you're now panicking and having an anxiety attack.
Mohammed Hijab.
Why has the cat got
You
your
are
tongue?
you are an intellectual.
Why has the cat got your
fraud.
tongue?
You are an intellectual.
Why
dog.
Why are you
Don't
insulting
come
him?
to me.
Why are you insulting him? Why don't you
Don't
produce your
come-
strongest argument against Islam?
you-
Are you
I'm
stupid?
waiting for it.
If you
Are
wanna
you
engage
stupid?
with
Are
me,
you
I'm
stupid? The guy
happy
is
to
sitting
engage
there
with
insulting
you.
me. I'm
Look,
responding to it.
He's not insulting you. He's
Stop
insulting
being
you
scared.
normally.
Look, I'm saying to you, look, if
Mohammed
you
Hijab,
want
you're an
10
intellectual
minutes, I will be
dog. Stop
muted.
insulting me.
Listen, look, don't worry about insults. Insults are freedom of speech. That's what you
No,
believe.
no, they're not. That's
Yes,
not how it works.
They are freedom of speech.
That is
That's
not
what
how
they
it
are.
works.
Look, with all due respect,
You have
yeah,
no
I
understanding of
four-
philosophy. That is
listen
not
to me.
how freedom of
I
speech
have
works.
4 degrees to my name.
Yeah,
4.
you don't know anything about it. Freedom of speech.
You have
is
any-
that
you guys
that is
know
not what
name,
freedom of
One
speech
of
is.
those, and one of those, by the way, is in political philosophy, which is about freedom of speech.
By bearded
So what are your
Islamists, that's
degrees?
where you got your philosophy
What are
degrees,
your
probably.
degrees? What are your degrees?
It
I've
doesn't
been in
matter to you.
university
It doesn't
for
matter
10
to you.
years.
You don't. It doesn't matter to you.
man.
It doesn't matter to you. You don't have a basic understanding of freedom of speech.
You do not have the authority to tell me what you think freedom of speech is. I have actually written books on liberalism.
I don't care. If you contradict
my professors, when they were peer reviewing them, they didn't tell me that I was wrong about my understandings of freedom of speech.
Okay, can you tell me this then? Yeah. According to you, does freedom of speech mean that you can say whatever you want and nobody should get angry about this?
Well, according to liberal philosophers like John Stuart Mill, in his book on utilitarianism and other books like On Liberty and so on, freedom of speech is only curtailed by the harm principle. And for him, the harm principle entailed physical harm. There were some things that he mentioned in his book that he saw was distasteful, right? So, for example, people having sexual intercourse, he said things that affect the sensibilities of people. So, for example, people having sexual intercourse on the roadsides, John Stuart Mill saw that as something which is unethical. But in terms of me insulting, the freedom to insult is not something which is censored by freedom of speech advocates, including those philosophical founding fathers. Now, my point is this: it's very happy days for you when you come up and rip the Quran and eat it and spit it out. It's freedom of speech. But when hold on. But when I don't, within the scope of the law, because to this day there's no police officer that has contacted me, and believe you me, there is no court injunction against me. All the things that I've said on Twitter are by law, UK law and US law, absolutely within the full scope of the law, and I'm waiting for a court order. I'm waiting for an injunction to prove me otherwise. There's nothing within the spirit or letter of the law, nor
was that my question,
within the parameters of freedom of speech as per liberal ethics, that stop me from insulting you and your wife, who has a public figure platform, attacking Islam and calling the Prophet of Islam all kinds of names. If you cannot handle the freedom of speech when it comes back at you, do not try and give it to people, a community of people, by spitting out the Quran, laughing at the Quran, and so on and so forth. Because that would imply that you are a person of weakness.
Was that my question?
Yeah. So that answers your question.
Okay, let me respond. Was that my question? Do you really think that was my question?
What's your question? Just repeat it for yourself.
Was that really my question?
What was your question?
My question was, according to your understanding of freedom of speech, does freedom of speech mean that you can say whatever you want and no one can be angered about it?
No, not whatever you want. There are laws of libel. There are laws of defamation. There are laws of copyright.
That's not the point.
Laws. So there are.
Is your freedom of speech? Does freedom of speech, according to you, mean that no one can be angry about it? About what you say?
We're angry about you eating and spitting out the Quran, and you and David.
Of course, you can.
It doesn't matter. If you don't want to play by the rules, don't do the things that aggravate other communities.
Well, that was not what my question was about, because you are making it look like
we can be angry.
You are making it look like I have no right to be angry and to refuse to talk to you because you insulted. Because you
has got nothing to do.
You wanted to debate him, though. You offered to debate him, and then when you have the opportunity to debate him, he's in your face.
Is irrelevant. Your anger, the truth doesn't care about your anger.
Everybody, do you see this? This is exactly why I'm not wanting to have this conversation. Why? I'm here trying to give you a response, and you haven't even let me talk.
Go ahead.
But come on, man. The more you're talking about is responding.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, I will include this in my upcoming video about you, Mohammed Hijab. I think you can evade that, but I have a video upcoming about you in which I will demonstrate.
This is not about Mohammed Hijab. This isn't about Ali Dawah or anybody. I don't know if you're in love with him or something, but this is about you ripping up the Quran and laughing at people eating the Quran and talking about urinating on the Quran on your Twitter.
Is this worse? Is this worse than telling people that they should be put to death for?
This guy, no, we don't condone it. Look, you're childish.
You're complaining about insulting, and then you're doing something insulting.
Is this worse?
That you just mean disrespectful. What about
worse than telling people that they should be put to death?
It doesn't affect us. When you
believe in right and wrong,
I put the Quran in. I can burn the Quran. I can put it in water.
It's great that it doesn't affect you. It's great. It's fantastic that it doesn't affect you.
What's your point by doing that?
But is this worse than telling people? And telling people that they should be
like a fool right now. Right?
This is your defense.
What we're saying is, we're not saying that you should be killed. Let me put that on the record.
You brought it up. I'm responding to you.
Let me tell you something.
Let me put it telling people they should be killed.
Apis, listen. I'm telling you right in front of you.
Fuck up. Don't call me Apis, okay?
I can tell you whatever I like.
Relax, man.
Answer me a question.
They're triggered.
Answer me a question, Mohammed.
You
have talked enough. I have gave you the time to respond.
Why would
answer me one question.
7,000 miles away.
Answer me one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Adam Saleh and Slim Al Bahir here were not convinced that this is the response. According to Islam, under an Islamic government,
unqualified understanding of it. Yeah. You're not qualified, are you? Let's be honest. You don't have any training in Islam, do you?
That's true.
You are tired.
Do you have any training in Islam?
According to Islam.
So why are you saying according to Islam? You should say according to my understanding of Islam.
I'm asking you a question. Can I ask you a question about the Islamic rulings?
Yes,
Can I ask you a question?
The educator, the question, yes.
You are an idiot. Can I ask you a question about the Islamic rulings according to my understanding? You don't even have the brain to think about this. I'm asking you a question about your Islamic rulings. According to the Islamic jurisdiction, according to Islam, according to the Islamic jurisprudence, whatever. According to it's my third language. While you spend time going into answer the question. According to Islam, somebody who leaves Islam, i.e. me or other people, somebody who leaves Islam and makes it public that they have left Islam and explains to the public that they have left Islam and why they have left Islam. Is this person to be put to death under Islam?
Well, I've written a book on this. It's actually called I just want to put to you that I've written a book on this, which is actually my dissertation for one of my degrees, which I got a distinction in, and which was peer reviewed by two liberal people by my ad and given a distinction. So I think this will be a professional answer here, not like yours. My answer is this: it really depends on the situation. I'm not saying to you that Islam, the only ruling in Islam, is that the person who is a public apostate is to be put to death. In fact, in the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, where the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had a negotiation with Suhail ibn Amr, in that treaty, there was a clear parenthesis put in place, or a clause, a stipulation put in place, whereby apostates would be actually redirected or strategically relocated. For that reason, Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah and many of the scholars, in fact, from my reading, the majority of scholars say, it's possible that a public apostate, and listen carefully, I'm answering your question directly, a public apostate, just like yourself, not just within the Western world, but within an Islamic state, is not actually put to death and is strategically located to another country, for example, a safe haven. And that is not despite the Islamic law, that is because of it. And the reason and the evidence of that is the Hadith in Bukhari, which is as you know, the most authoritative Hadith book, which stipulates this point. On the kitab of the hadith of Suhail ibn Amr. So in other words, what I actually recommend in my book, which is ironic, I say that in this day and age, my position is not that apostates, even in Muslim countries, this is my position, even in Muslim countries which claim to rule by Islamic law, I proposed in the book, I proposed that it would be within the maslahah, the common interest of the Muslim people, to make peace treaties, the like of which was seen by the Prophet Muhammad himself, with non-Muslim countries, such that apostates in certain Muslim countries are not to be put to death, and in fact are strategically located to other non-Muslim countries in a way to protect their life. And in fact, if you go against such treaty, according to the scholars that I've mentioned, Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah, al-Mirdawi, and others, who actually mentioned this very explicitly in their jurisprudential tracts, if you go against this, then that would be something which is seen as immoral because it goes against the contractual agreements. It says in Surah Al-Ma'idah chapter 5 verse 1, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu awfu bil uqud. Oh, you have believed, be faithful to your contracts. And that includes contracts with disbelieving nations. It includes contracts with non-Muslim nations and so on and so on. So my position actually is this. If there is a country now that wants to rule by Islamic law, I do not think it within the common interest of that particular country to exercise that particular law of apostasy. I think it is within the full scope of the jurisprudential Islamic allowance, as well as the law, for that Muslim country to make a peace treaty with other non-Muslim countries such that there will be a strategic relocation. And that is my position on the matter. Yes, of course, in history, there have been times where there have been public apostasies. But in the book that I've written, and the capital punishment employed. But that's not the position that I think is most beneficial for the world today. And I think, actually, my historical analysis, when I did a historical analysis, I looked at America, and I looked at Turkey, which are countries.
Well, you are contradicting with the historical consensus in Islamic jurisprudence.
Well, actually, I've just mentioned to you. No, you're saying I'm contradicting it. I'm giving you evidence from.
It is very clear that you are
when there's no difference of opinion. I've just told you Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah.
That's not what consensus
means. Zad al-Ma'ad, sorry. He mentioned the allowance for this. How can it be consensus?
The majority consensus is that apostates are to be put to death, which is.
No, you're forcing your worldview.
I am forcing. There are several countries. There are several countries in the world today that have this.
I'm not saying.
According to you,
listen. I don't know what you want me to say. I'm telling you what you don't want to hear, maybe. But I'm telling you, it's possible.
No,
yes,
you are being dishonest because you came here before and you excused this.
As you know, I'm not shy to say something outrageous. I'm a wild character. If I want to, I'll say something outrageous.
I think
I have no problem. I'm telling you what it is that I've looked at from the books that I've read and the scholars that I've spoken to. All of them agree with me, yes, that actually it's completely conceivable and totally allowable within a Muslim nation that a Muslim nation does a peace treaty with a non-Muslim nation, and a public apostates that come out and say, we are public apostates, we are against the Prophet Muhammad, we are against just like you, and even, and so on and so forth. Maybe not just like you, actually, but someone who does all that stuff, and then they can be. What will happen to you? Well, it depends on what you want to do. If you are a public apostate and just
if I did exactly what I'm doing right now in the ideal Islamic country, what would happen to me?
Well, look, if you did what you're doing right now in an ideal Islamic country, I'm sure there will be vigilantes, okay, that will take the law into their own hands. There's a difference between what the civilians do, yes, and what the law says. In an ideal Islamic country,
vigilantes would probably kill me.
It's like asking me if do you know this? There was a film called Die Hard 3. I used to watch films when I was younger. Die Hard with a Vengeance. And then, Bruce Willis, he came with this postage saying, I hate niggers. Sorry to say the word, but he said, I hate niggers. And he went to Harlem. You know Harlem. And then these guys saw him and they were going to kill him. I'm not going to tell you that if you are living in a Muslim majority place and you're ripping up the Quran in Pakistan or some place, that you're going to be fine. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to lie.
I'm not talking about ripping up the Quran.
I'm talking to you about laws. I'm talking to you about what's conceivable.
That was my question. What about the law?
Yeah, the law. What I'm saying to you is, I've just told you what the law is.
You said.
From the law perspective, it's totally conceivable, as I've just mentioned, right? And do you know what I've said is the book that I've written, which is called a public. Sorry, I can't remember. It's a treatise. I said it's called critiques of the public, the liberal critiques to Ridda. That's the name of the book. I forgot the name of the book. It's called the liberal critiques to Ridda. Okay, and this book, what I actually show historically is this, because I'm sure you're aware, you're a Turkish-speaking person. You can actually access now online the majority of Ottoman archives, and a lot of it will be in Ottoman language. So it's actually not even in Arabic, but it's kind of Arabic script, but it's Ottoman Turkish, right? So we had a translator who looked at from the period of, say, Bayezid II, which is about 1517, all the way up to when the end of the Ottoman Empire. We looked at that, and we also looked at America. And what we found was quite intriguing, actually, because what we found is that there were some acts in America, for example, burning of flags, and so on and so forth, which were prosecuted by death. And I show you the case studies in the book. And so this was a symbolic act. It wasn't a military act. It was seen as treacherous and treasonous. And in the same way, there were some instances like that in the Ottoman Empire. What I found quite interesting, though, was that the Ottoman judges were way more reluctant to exercise apostasy laws. In terms of the primary source materials that is referenced in the book, and you can check it out.
You're beating around the bush so much right now.
You have access maybe directly. So you can check out, actually on an implementation level, how much this was actually implemented. By the way, I'm not trying to say, and I want to make this very clear, I'm not trying to say that there is no such thing as the capital punishment in Islam for non-allegiance to the state, which is like Ridda. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that there is maneuverability within the law, the scope of the law. So such that a hakim, if you're like a ruler, there's a scope of maneuverability there. And what I'm saying is, and this is not a reform position, it's not a liberal position, this is within the traditionalist discourse. And I think people like you should actually listen to people like me, because if I get my way, right, if I had my recommendation in place, then in fact the world would be, in your world, a safer place, in your understanding. So why are you trying to force me?
Do you condemn the killing of apostates?
Force me to want to kill you people like you. I don't want to
because
kill
I don't believe you.
Look, you don't have to believe me. I've given you evidence.
Do you condemn the killing of apostates? Do you condemn it?
Yeah, because if you kill apostates now, there is no law and order.
So you condemn capital punishment for apostasy.
I absolutely condemn.
Do you condemn your friend Ali Dawa telling me that I should be punished to death?
I absolutely condemn the killing of apostates because that is completely against law and order. Apostates, listen, I say to you something. You know there's a hadith, and we're talking about primary source materials now. Hudayfa bin Yaman, he's a Sahabi. He had a list of individuals who, for all intents and purposes, they were munafiqeen. They were people who had lost their faith. And in the list of all of those individuals, including Abdullah bin Salul and others, those individuals, none of them were killed. Why? Even though all of them were not sympathetic to Muhammad. In fact, they went against him. None of them. Why were they not killed? The reason why they were not killed is because I put to you, and this is what As-Sarakhsi says, the Hanafi jurist, and this is before liberalism was even invented. He wrote this. It's nothing to do with you changing your faith. Islam and Allah is not afraid of you changing your faith. You can change your faith all you like. We don't care because Allah will judge you on the day of judgment. We believe those who change their faith and become apostates, they will be in the hellfire and burning and all that stuff. We believe in eternal damnation. I mean, that's even worse than that for us. It's an eschatological reality. We say that this has nothing to do with you changing your faith. It's all to do, yes, with the allegiance or non-allegiance to a state. And if your bay'ah or the allegiance is premised on a theological reality, which is, yes.
And you believe that the state should be Islamic and everybody should be forced to pledge allegiance to the state, don't you?
No, I don't think that is any. Look, if it's a Muslim majority country, absolutely. But if it's
absolutely.
Yeah, if it's a
so what is the difference then? No, you believe that an Islamic state should be established.
I think if it's a Muslim majority country, then there's a democratic impetus for even on democratic worldview, for you to say, well, the majority are Muslim. If they want Islam, then surely on democratic principles, outsiders should have nothing to do with that. But
so everything that you have said was just a complete waste of time because you believe that an Islamic state, because you believe that an Islamic state, an Islamic government should be established if the majority is Muslim, including
the Islamic government shouldn't.
You, for example, want to spread Islam to the entire UK. So if the majority of the entire UK was Muslim, you would want everybody to adhere to an Islamic state, and this Islamic state should require.
I don't want an Islamic state in Britain. I'm not asking for an Islamic state in Britain.
If I, for example, left Islam in that Islamic state and openly spoke about it and openly spoke against this religion, then I would be put to death, and you would.
No, I'm not saying you're put to death. I'm not saying you're put to death on the
guy. You're making it seem like we want to kill you. No one wants to kill you. Like
playing the victim.
No one wants to kill you.
I am not.
You're not afraid of conversion.
You cannot.
You are a Christian or an atheist. That's your decision. I swear to God, I don't care. I swear.
Do you condemn
about that? What
okay,
I'm saying,
you are aware that the majority of your fellow.
I believe that you will, for that reason, you'll be eternally damned in the hellfire.
You are aware that the majority of your fellow Islamic scholars and apologists agree that apostates who make their apostasy open should be put to death, including your friends Ali Dawa, including Daniel Hikik, including many others. They all agree on this. Do you think they are wrong and you condemn them for that?
Well, here's my belief. I believe that what they're saying is they're mentioning a classical opinion in the books of fiqh or jurisprudence.
They're saying it should happen. They're not mentioning classical opinion.
Saying it should happen. My view is that if we actually have an Islamic state, and this is what I recommended in my book, it's in print. Yeah, I'm saying that if there is an Islamic state, I believe that Islamic state should have a peace treaty with a non-Islamic state, such that public apostates, don't need to be killed or are not killed at all. There's no harm done to them, and there's strategic relocation. And that is not despite the aqwal of the Prophet. It is because of the sayings of the Prophet. And the evidence of that is the fact that the Prophet ﷺ in Hudaybiyah, he actually had a peace treaty to that effect.
So is that without exception for all apostates?
Yes, all apostates will be.
You think no apostate should be killed? They should all be relocated to different countries.
Absolutely, that's my view. I don't think.
I appreciate that.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
I think that if you have a Muslim apostate, public apostates, because if you're doing things privately, there's no harm on you. But there's considerable harm, as you know, on public apostates who apostatize in Muslim majority places. So those individuals should be relocated, in my view, to other non-Muslim countries. And that is not despite what the Prophet said. It's because of what he allowed in the final peace treaty that he concluded with Suhail ibn Amr. And in fact, Ibn al-Qayyim, in his discussion of this, and other scholars, I'm just mentioning Ibn al-Qayyim because it comes to mind, he says it's not abrogated. This is an unabrogated law. So if this peace treaty is in place, my view is that actually that should be what happens. Now, I've said this a few times.
I would like to reiterate this for the public, because I think this is very great news, because many other people, especially many of those who oppose Islam, would like to hear this in very short sentences. So Mohammed Hijab here agrees that Mohammed Hijab opposes the general ruling of the killing of apostates, public and private apostates, and he agrees that if in an Islamic state, in an Islamic country, which a majority Muslim country should be turned into, then apostates should not be killed, but they should be forcibly relocated to other countries, which is still by definition genocide, but at least it is not death. So that is what you are agreeing with.
Genocide.
Well, this is by definition genocide.
It's not genocide. No, it's not genocide.
It is cultural genocide.
No. Stop trying to use words that you don't know what the definitions of them are.
It is by definition cultural genocide.
Let me tell you, can I just articulate it? Can I correct your articulation?
Sure.
Mohammed Hijab believes that in an ideal Islamic state in the 21st century, that if there is a Muslim country, Muslim majority country that claims to rule by Islamic law, that such Muslim Islamic country should make a peace treaty or a contract with other non-Muslim countries, such that if public apostates become apparent in the public sphere, that such public apostates are relocated. And he is basing this on the final hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, where the Prophet, allowed such thing to happen with Suhail ibn Amr, and where the scholars of Islam, and in fact you could even argue the majority of scholars, allow such thing. Mohammed Hijab is not saying it's not conceivable within an Islamic state, or it's not understood classically that there was such a thing, in the 1,400 years of Islamic history as public apostasy, ridda punishments. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there's a maneuverability within the scope of jurisprudence, Islamic jurisprudence, which allows Muslims to actually make this a kind of contract. And I think that if Muslim majority countries make such contracts, that will decrease the ability of the non-Muslim enemy, to be able to attack Islam and its peoples on the pretense of human rights. And I think.
Do you think it is not conceivable that there should be such a thing?
I don't understand the question. Sorry, could you repeat that?
You said you're not saying that it is not conceivable that there was such a thing in the history and in the past, the killing of apostates. Do you also say that it is not conceivable that there should be such a thing in our time or in the future? Do you think do you think it is wrong, inconceivable, impossible?
I say that Muslim.
No, I know what you think. I know what you suggest. But do you think it is absolutely wrong and inconceivable that apostates, no matter what kind of apostates they are, should be executed?
I haven't used the word inconceivable, because inconceivable means not possible, right? Sorry, I'm just going to put this on plain one. It means not possible. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not making an argument from conceivability. This is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I'm making a policy recommendation for Muslim majority countries, and I've made
so it's just a recommendation.
No, it's a recommendation based on the actions of the Prophet.
But that's all it is. So you would still, in the end, in the end,
actions of the Prophet.
Looking at the Islamic dawah scene, for example, the consensus is that the right thing to do is to put public apostates to death. You are, but
I'm not saying that. So therefore,
that is not part of the point. My point is, majority of people, for example, come together and think that the appropriate punishment for public apostasy, would be death. So if people now come together and establish such a state, and they said this is the ruling that we should apply. Sorry, Mohammed Hijab, your suggestion is very nice, but we cannot do that because we agree to this. Yeah. Do you think that is okay?
I've had conversations with policy officials in countries like Malaysia. And I've actually had the chance to influence their spokespeople.
That was the question.
I've given them these kinds of recommendations, because, as you know, Brunei is a country that is nearby, and they look at that as an example, because we're talking about maslaha and mafsada. Really, we're talking about what is in the common interest and what's not in the common interest. And this is something which many people like yourself, and on the other hand as well, Muslims, they don't understand. And I'm trying to educate everyone here that actually Brunei, when they attempted to put a full-fledged hudud laws, what happened to them as a country? They were under attack from all spheres, and they're too small to defend themselves. So how can they be a Muslim country? How can they do as much as they can do within the scope of the international, the waqā, or the international environment, whilst at the same time being faithful to their Islamic position? I'm giving them a very reasonable and practical solution. I'm giving people countries like Brunei. What would you do with countries like Brunei when you have apostates in Brunei? If they try and imagine trying to kill a public apostate in Brunei. I mean, just think about that for a second. What do you think America would do? I think they would threaten invasion. I believe that.
Of course. Right.
Yeah. For that reason, I don't think that it's within anybody's interest. And what I'm saying is that the fiqh, look, this is what I want people to understand. Islamic jurisprudence is wide. Okay, it's not black and white. It really is not black and white. I'm a traditionalist. You know that I'm a traditionalist. I'm not scared to tell you the most severe view of everything. But what I'm saying is Ibn al-Qayyim was Ibn Taymiyyah's student. I mean, Ibn Taymiyyah was the traditionalist, if you like. I'm a traditionalist. I'm telling you that this is fully in line. I want to confirm that what I'm saying is fully in line. But what I want people to understand, this conversation about apostasy now, I think we've done and dusted with it. If this is your strongest argument,
it is not an argument. This is because
even
because
if
you opened the topic.
We asked you for
I've given you the floor. Tell me what's your biggest objection against this?
So no, this is not what I presented. We came to this topic because they kept asking me about ripping up the Quran,
so
which was
what
this response was about.
That's done. So what is
it is not done. It is not done. I have to remark something. So we talked about this for 15-20 minutes, and the entire talk was about how relocating people was a recommendation that is in line with traditionalist Muslim opinion in history, but
Prophet.
Okay, in line with it, but that this is just one of the options, that you would recommend this because you would consider this beneficial. But this is just one of the. But this is just one of the options. Whereas one of the other options is also that I should be put to death, for example.
My argument is this. My argument is that classic. No, please, let's not trivialize these issues. Stop making yourself the victim, because
I am not making myself the victim. I am in no danger, Mohammed Hijab. I am in absolutely no danger. I can do whatever the hell I want. I'm in no danger.
Let me give you my reassurance.
I'm not scared at all.
I don't think you're a public threat. I don't think you're an intellectual threat. I don't think you're a physical threat. I don't think it makes sense for anybody to try and threaten you physically.
I am in no danger. This is not about me. This is ridiculous. It's not about me.
I'm not saying that we should be killing you. So what I'm saying now, look, at the end,
it's just a recommendation. That's it. So we're done with the topic. It is a recommendation on your part, and that's it.
Trying to get a nice headline for Twitter. That's what it was.
Okay. Framework, isn't it? What I'm saying to you now, look, Islam, you have to understand, this is a branch, okay? Hudud and penal laws and so on is a branch of Islam. But really, we have to understand what the foundations are. The foundations of Islam is Tawheed. It's the idea of one God worthy of worship, that we believe that the creator God, right? And the fact that we believe that Prophet is the final messenger. Like, when you come to that conclusion, okay, then things that you might otherwise feel unworthy or aesthetically unpleasing and so on will start to become more sensical. You see, so you have to start with the roots. So
we can come to that. We can come to that.
You've given me one question, and
we can come to that. Just the opening topic here.
We're supposed to start with the root.
This is where this is respectful.
No, you have not let me speak at all for not even once.
I haven't said a word for the last 15, 10, 20 minutes. We let you speak.
This is respectful.
For your strongest argument. You have no argument.
Adam Saleh and Slim here argued at the beginning that it is absolutely inconceivable and completely wrong to kill people for their beliefs, and this is completely not Islamic. Whereas I don't know if you can follow. I don't think you have been able to follow 10% of what Mohammed Hijab said. But Mohammed Hijab basically.
The question was, what is?
You've given me one question. I think that's fair.
You have just told me. You just told me that you always let me speak, and now
you're trying to get a clickbait title of Mohammed Hijab or Adam and Slim. It's just we're talking here. You should have leave the hate aside.
Look, we're giving you the floor. What we're saying is Islam. Look, you have to understand Islam from the beginning. Islam is a religion.
I will not argue theology with you here. I will not argue.
No, it's not about arguing. We're talking here. It's not an
No,
argument.
I will not talk about theology here. Mohammed Hijab.
Oh,
I made a very it is theology, it is basic theology. I made a very clear offer to you. I said, if you want to exchange opinions on whether Islam, on whether,
My question is about,
man, why don't you just let me speak?
Well, here, one thing, man, undo.
you just keep saying this.
Talk it out. Let's talk it. You're right here.
I made you an offer. If you want to talk about whether Islam is the truth or not, then we can unite and talk on a third-party platform where none of us is.
What you want to say?
Jesus Christ. Right, then we can talk on a platform where none of us is in charge, where nobody can interrupt each other like this, so that we can freely talk about why you think Islam is the truth and why I don't think Islam is the truth.
Well, there's no need to go through all of that. Look,
why not? That is the fairest, most professional way to have a debate.
Platform. This is a big platform.
You're not wanting to have a debate with me.
Probably one of the biggest Muslim YouTubers out there.
You're refusing to have a fair debate with me
right now.
You're refusing to have a.
Go anywhere else. There's no. Seriously.
So this is the fourth time that you are refusing to have a debate with me.
No,
and
I'm
making excuses.
This ain't arguing.
We're waiting for the debate. We're waiting for him, man. I got my pop.
No. I made a very clear offer. I will not.
Grandstanding, please. Let's just have a discussion. This is not.
I am grandstanding because you're acting very scared. I'm sorry. You're scared of the topic.
Look,
you are scared of the topic.
No,
of course it does.
I'm scared. It doesn't make Islam false.
No, it doesn't make Islam false. Of course, it doesn't. But it will prove a point to the public.
I'll tell you the truth. I don't think I'm scared. I
think you are. I think you are. I think you are.
Okay,
and I think you're scared.
I don't think I'm scared. It doesn't matter because that's
I know.
We're having a fight.
The scared one hasn't said his argument though. You didn't say your argument.
Engagement.
You're not scared.
It doesn't make Islam false. But that is the entire point. We should be able to come together and properly have a fair debate on whether Islam is the truth or not. It's not about
discussion now. We're having a discussion now. So all I'm saying is, look, I'll be very straightforward with you. There's 4 things I would say about Islam being the truth. I'm not even going to go through maybe 3 things, for the sake of argument. We say number 1, the argument from God. Tawheed, we say that there's only one God.
You know what this is?
I'll put it to you now.
There will be people watching this stream because I am here who will normally not watch this stream. What is happening here is that by not letting me speak and only you speak, you will clearly make it look like you are making a big point and I cannot make a point because you do not let me respond. So you cannot trick me into a conversation and then use this as an opportunity to propagate your ideas.
Leave the hate out, brother. Leave the hate out at your heart. Take the hate out of your heart.
I deliberately said we should have a fair debate about things.
I want to hear what you guys say. I want to hear what you have to say.
What I'm saying is this: Islam makes a case for itself. Okay, it makes a case for itself. We say that there's only one God worthy of worship. That all conceptions of God, other than the Islamic ones, if you look at the 6 major world religions, are actually incompatible with logic and incompatible with the predisposition. Number 1. Number 2, we say that look, the Quran itself has falsification challenges. It actually says if you believe that this book is from other than God, then please try and find it, or you would have found in it many contradictions.
I have shown many of them.
Challenge there to try and find contradictions in the Quran.
I have falsified the Quran on very high levels.
Do it now. That's fine. The inimitability challenge is to try and produce something like the Quran, which means that it has to go within the scope of, it has to do exactly what the Quran has done, which includes, by the way, telling the future, because the Quran speaks explicitly about future events like chapter 30 verses 1 to 6,
and it is wrong about that.
And yes, in many other places of the Quran like chapter 24 verses 55 and onwards,
so yes, it is wrong about that,
explicitly about future events, and it does so accurately even according to Western philosophers. And
what about the 60 scientific mistakes of the Quran?
What I'm saying to you is, if number 1, you said that you found contradictions in it, so my challenge to you now is to try and find a contradiction.
Do you think the stars are missiles thrown at devils, for example?
Well, chapter 67, verses 1 to 5, where it says, وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءِ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحَ وَجَعَلْنَاهَا رُجُومًا لِلشَّيَاطِينَ. First of all, it says, if this is your strongest argument, let me answer it.
No, it's not.
Well,
I will not make my strongest argument. I'm throwing rocks at you. I want you to answer this. Okay, since we're not abiding by rules, go ahead.
وَجَعَلْنَاهَا رُجُومًا لِلشَّيَاطِينَ وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءِ الدُّنْيَا. So the Quran says in chapter 60, I think verse 3 or 4, 67, sorry.
5, 67, 5, I believe.
Yeah, 67.5. وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءِ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحَ. We have certainly adorned the heavenly realm with stars. وَجَعَلْنَاهَا رُجُومًا لِلشَّيَاطِينَ. And we have made it a pelting thing for the devils. Now, what is, first of all, masabih? So there's a difference of opinion. Some they say it's meteorite, some they say stars. And says, رُجُومًا لِلشَّيَاطِينَ. And we have made it as a pelting things for the devils. So it's saying that devils, because if you look at chapter 37 of the Quran, and other parts in the very first 5 verses, sorry, you'll find that the Sama' dunya, or the heavenly realm, is adorned with stars, has many functionalities of them to try and find your way, as the Quran says, of them so it can go around in orbits, as the Quran says. And by the way, the Quran says in chapter 25 that there are many suns, because it says, تَبَارَكَ الَّذِي جَعَلَ فِي السَّمَاءِ بُرُوجًا.
No, it does not.
Pardon?
What does it say that?
Yeah, it says in chapter 25, تبارك الذي جعل في السماء بروجا وجعل فيها سروجا منيرا. There's two qira'ahs. One qira'ah says سراجا منيرا and سروجا منيرا. So
what chapter, what verse?
I can't remember the verse here, but this you can just check it. Chapter 25.
That is most definitely untrue.
Well, I've just quoted it in the Arabic, so you can. Why is it most definitely untrue? I've just told you in the Arabic, because I don't know the verse number. Sorry, I don't know the verse numbers. I haven't memorized the verse numbers. I've memorized the Arabic. So, تبارك الذي جعل في السماء بروجا وجعل فيها. There's two qira'ahs. One of them is Siraj Munira, and there's another one Suruj Munira. The Siraj Munira means a shining lamp, and Suruj Munira means many stars. So a shining lamp means a star. And many suns, one sun and many suns. So in other words, the Quran says that there are many suns. The cosmic picture of the Quran, therefore, is that there are many suns, many solar systems, because suns are accompanied with solar systems, and that they have many functionalities. Of them, there is a metaphysical thing which we can't see, which is that the Quran, that the stars or the celestial spheres, they actually pelt the devils or the jinn, because we believe in this this creation called the jinn. We haven't created the jinn and the human beings except they worship it. So these celestial bodies actually pelt them. How can you falsify that? I don't see the issue. But
well, you have failed to give me
something which is seen as the cosmological picture of the Quran is not something which I would say is out of line with 21st century understandings.
You have not given me any proof. It is a very big claim to claim that that the Quran actually describes many suns or many stars.
You just said it in chapter 5. You just said it. Don't you check?
Yeah, you did not give me any proof of it.
I'll get it now. Sorry, let me just get a few now. But you remember, in the English, they won't. There's two qira'ahs. Yeah, Tabarak alladhi ja'ala. Hold on a second. Okay, good. This is verse.
You just said it. I don't know. You got to look for it, but
verse 61, chapter 25, verse 61. So there's two qira'ahs. There's one qira'ah was glory be to the one who has made in the sky stars, yeah, and has made in it many suns. One yani sun. You know a sun, like the sun and the moon. So made many suns. And the Quran, here's my understanding of the Quran, the cosmology. You can interpret.
This is an outrageous claim. Every tafsir that I'm looking at, and including the modern and old translations, tell us that there are many constellations or stars in the sky, and that there is also a lamp.
Tabari says here, look,
a lamp and an illuminating moon, which refers to the sun and the moon. This is this is a ridiculous claim.
It says it here. Look, I can read it to you if you want. It says, this is Tabari's tafsir. بروجا وجعل فيها سراجا. اختلف القراء في قراءة ذلك فقراءة عامة قراء المدينة والبصرة وجعل فيها سراجا. So there's one way of saying it, which is سراجا على التوحيد. So that means one sun. That's what Tabari is saying. And the other ones say سروجا, وقمرا منيرا, which means many suns. That's what Tabari says. But you can't access Tabari because it's in Arabic, so it's not in English.
Yeah. Well,
the point I'm making is that the cosmological picture in the Quran is one which can be in line with 7th century Arabian unscientific, if you're going to call it the unscientific understanding. But it can actually also be, and this is one of the arguments, another argument, it can actually also be in line with 21st century understandings of science. So
it cannot be.
Pardon?
It cannot be. The general understanding of this Quran verse, for example, even according to the tafsir, to the most renowned tafsir, which is Ibn Kathir, and all the translations that we have, clearly says that this is speaking about constellations, and there is a lamp and an luminous light, which in other parts of the Quran is repeated
in English. This is the problem.
Is repeated numerous times. It refers to the sun and the moon. The lamp is the sun, whereas the luminous moon is the.
Two ways of reading it. One of them is like that. You're right.
This is
No, but there's another way of reading it, which is surujan. So both of them are acceptable, and Tabari says that. So the cosmological once again, the cosmological picture in the Quran, and this is one of the arguments for Islam being true. Because let me give you an example, right? You know, the Quran says, يكور الليل على النهار ويكون النهار على الليل وسخر الشمس والقمر كل يجري لأجل مسمى. Chapter 39, verse 5, where it says that he makes he talks about the sun, the moon, and that. Yukawwir. Yukawwir here means that he rolls the night into the day, and he rolls the night into the day into the night. Ibn Hazm, and by the way, the Salaf, because there's a guy called Ibn Munada who's Tabi'i. He says this shows that the earth is round. Okay, this shows that the earth is round because takwir is when you wrap the night and the day around each other. Now, one easy argument I can make is the Quran, according to the Salaf, the early generations, the companions, and those who came after them. According to those people, and Ibn Taymiyyah actually has a sanad, which is muttasil ila Ibn Munada, believe that the earth is round. Now, there are some people who say that the earth is flat. There are some scholars who say that. But there are the Salaf, there are some scholars from the early generations who say that the earth is round. Whereas if you look
there are many among them who say that it is flat. Why are we doing this selectively? Yeah,
there's two interpretations. Yeah, I agree.
Why are we doing this selectively? So I
agreed with you that.
Okay, yeah, I do not point out that this is that Muslims all agreed that the earth was flat, and that this is what we should therefore agree on. That this is the majority opinion.
Here's the argument. The argument is that you're right. There are some Muslim scholars in the past who have said the earth is flat, but there are some who use the Quran to show that the earth is round. Now,
but the opposite also used the Quran to say that the earth is flat. The others also used the Quran to say that it's flat.
From the early generations.
Well, that was also the Salaf.
Like who?
I cannot memorize names, but I will have examples of that.
But I don't think there's anyone from the Salaf that says that the earth is flat. Okay,
I'm pretty sure. But I can look into it and demonstrate it later.
Because according to Ibn Taymiyyah, actually Ibn Taymiyyah has a fatwa on this in Kitab al-Arsh in his Majmu'at al-Fatawa, and he says in it that there's ijma', there's a consensus among the scholars that the earth is round. And
who did you say?
Like Ibn Hazm says that, Ibn Munada says that.
You said Ibn Taymiyyah?
Yes, Ibn Taymiyyah.
But he lived in a time where it was pretty clear the earth was round.
Yeah,
I don't think we can base it on.
The Greeks knew that the earth was round. The Greeks knew it. I mean, I'm not trying to make an argument from that. Ibn Taymiyyah was 8th century or whatever, 728 AH. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the Greeks knew it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, look, if you look at the Bible, the Old Testament corpus, there's never been a patristic scholar, for example, an early church father, who has said the earth is round because of what's written in the Bible. They always refer to the Greeks, like Aristotelian logic. Whereas the commentary, the exegetical commentary in the Quran, allows there to be an interpretation which says that the earth is round, yes, and that comes from the Quran rather than from Greek sources. The point I'm making is that the Quran is compatible with 7th century understandings of cosmology, but it's also compatible with 21st century understanding. And both of them, you can find exegetical precedent for that. So, for example, when you're looking at many suns, many constellations, that the earth is round, you can find commentaries that go all the way back to the Salaf. You can find commentaries that talk about the expanding universe all the way back to the Salaf. All of these are afforded from the patristic sources about the Old Testament, for example. So
Look at this. Look at this.
Testament with patristic sources. Yeah.
Look at this. We have many Quran verses. I in fact made a compilation of this. Many Quran verses which would, on a plain reading, indicate that the earth is flat, that the sun travels over the earth, that the moon follows the earth. The Quran even explicitly, literally says that the moon follows the earth, for example. And if you read these on a plain reading, if you read the entire Quran on a plain reading, and you don't have any idea about the universe, about what things actually look like, you would clearly understand that our world is a a flat, a plain place, which above which there is a ceiling, which could crack, which is being held up by things. But it could be very easy, for example, for the Quran to give us revolutionary information and to talk about space, which is not mentioned in the Quran, talk about galaxies, which is not mentioned, talk about different planetary systems, planets, or the universe, for example. These are things that we found out only within the last few centuries.
I understand, but the argument I'm making is not that the Quran says things scientifically which were not known at the time, and so on and so forth. I actually say that there are many things about the Quran that were known before in Greek times and so on. My argument is, my argument is in fact this. My argument is that the Quran is compatible with 7th century understandings of science or cosmology, but it also has the unique multidimensional compatibility with 21st understanding. And that's not despite an eisegesis, it's because of an exegesis. So what I'm saying to you is this, is that this, if you look at the Bible, for example, there's nothing to indicate that the earth is round in the Bible from the clear verses. You could say, if you wanted to say that the earth is, there are scholars, there were people from the Salaf, from the early generations, way before telescopes were invented in Islam, that said that the earth was round. And they did that despite the cosmological evidences. They used chapters of the Quran, like Ibn Hazm actually used in his Kitab Fisal, he used chapter 39, verse 5, as a reason to suggest that the earth was round. Now, that's unique to the Quran, that it has the capacity to align itself cosmologically with a 7th century understanding and with a 21st century understanding. You see, so this is an argument I'm making, that it didn't know things from this, not a Zakir Naik argument. I'm making an argument of the fact that the Quran, the cosmology of the Quran, is a cosmology which is compatible not only with the 7th century, but can be compatible with 21st. I'm not saying that there's no way. Yes, sorry, these people keep calling me. I really don't know why they keep calling Yani like that. Sorry, I just not. Sorry. Yeah, but what I'm saying, so you understand the point here. So these are arguments. Prophecies are something else. Like the Prophet Muhammad, we say he made explicit prophecies about the future. He told us in many hadiths where Islam will spread. He told us Islam will spread to Egypt. He told us Islam will spread to India. He told us Islam will spread to Sindh wal Hind, India and what's now Pakistan. He told us it will spread to your country in Turkey, that the Arabs will fight the Turks. He told us that count 6 things between the hour. One of them is Moti. That Islam is going to enter Jerusalem, which is a place which is the crown jewel of the Roman Empire. Islam predicted the demise of the Roman Empire. Islam predicted the demise of the Persian Empire. Islam predicted the construction of very tall buildings. Islam predicted the advent of sexually transmitted diseases like AIDS and gonorrhea and so on. Islam makes predictions that I would argue, and this is a challenge, that there's no religion on the face of the earth that has been able to make so many challenges about the future and so many predictions about the future and be so accurate in all of those predictions. So what I'm saying is
I would strongly contest that. I would strongly contest that. I would like to first off respond to the science point.
Yes.
You are of course arguing that the Quran is not only compatible with its time when it comes to science, but also compatible with modern times, like today when it comes to science. I would definitely disagree with that and say
can I correct that articulation? I'm not saying that Islam has to be completely congruent with 21st century science, but I'm saying what I said is the cosmology of Islam, or the depicted cosmology in the Quran, is something which can be harmonized with 21st understandings of Islam. Now, there are things, it's conceivable that Islam can sometimes go against science, because science is not an enterprise which is perfect. As you know, it's not an incorrigible enterprise. Sometimes it will change, and we know that. There are many things which change in science. It's called paradigm shift. Thomas Kuhn.
Okay, let me get back to the point then. I would definitely say that the Quran can not be seen as compatible with the modern understanding of science, because there are many examples to that where the Quran, for example, describes that mountains were put into the earth, that Allah made the earth a bed, that Allah is holding up the sky, that Allah sends rain from the sky, that Allah sends thunders from the sky, and so many more.
Why is sending rain from the sky
so many more examples. That is only the scientific part. You could argue forever. I have made a huge collection.
I understand, but can I just can I comment?
No. You moved on to prophecies. So I would say
before you get to prophecies, because you did mention a few points. I think
No,
Yeah.
you ended the talk of scientific stuff.
Just on the point
like
on those examples you gave. So you see the examples that you gave on, like, for example, Mahd. The Quran refers to, you said, أَلَمْ نَجْعَلْ الْأَرْضَ مِهَادًا وَالْجِبَالَ أَوْتَادًا وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ, and so on in chapter 78 verses 1 to 4. It refers to the earth as a mahd, which is basically the Arabic word for bed, a resting place, as they. Now the question is, can the Quran, can it be interpreted? Can someone pluck out verses and make it interpreted to fit a flat earth model? I'm not saying no. But what I'm saying is that we have had early interpretations using the Quran, despite the cosmology, that agree that the earth is round. And in fact, there's more vigor in that direction. So in other words, more people, like, as I've just said to you, Ibn Munada from the Salaf. He's quoted by Ibn Taymiyyah in his Kitab al-Arsh in Majmu'at al-Fatawa. And look at Ibn Hazm. He was 400 years after the Prophet. He was saying, based on chapter 39, verse 5, that the earth is round. So the idea, once again, that the earth is a mahd, a bed, is not something really which is understood to indicate the shape of the earth. Because a resting place, a bed, it can be a cradle, can be something which you basically put in any kind of shape. Like, you cradle a baby in this way and so on. And if it was so clear, and this is the point, if it was so clear, someone who's a strict scripturalist, like a traditionalist like Ibn Taymiyyah and the Salaf, they would not be saying that the earth is definitely round.
I don't think that they have any authority over deciding what the Quran actually says, because they lived in a time in which it was the only reasonable thing to agree that the earth is actually round.
No,
but when you
from the Prophet, because Ibn Munada.
But when you look at this Quran verse, for example, like chapter 2, verse 22, it is He who made for you the earth a bed and the sky a ceiling. Look at this. I'm talking about the context. I'm not talking about just describing the earth as a bed. You could imply that it could mean something else. He made for you the earth a bed and the sky a ceiling, and sent down from the sky rain, and brought forth thereby fruits as provision for you. So do not attribute whatever to him. It further says in following verses that Allah also put mountains into the earth. So
So
imagine this.
What's the problem?
Rain is not something that comes from the sky. The sky is not something solid. The sky does not exist. The sky is only an appearance, only something that we have, that we see as an object.
Sky in the Arabic language, sorry, can I just correct you on something here? The sky in the Arabic, as-sama, fi lughat al-Arab, in the Arabic language, according to to actually all of the Qawamis that I've consulted.
It's a barrier according to the Quran.
Pardon?
It's a barrier according to the Quran and the Hadith.
No, it's not. According to, let me explain. I'll give you the references. According to Lisan al-Arab, which is one of the authoritative Qawamis dictionaries of the Arabs, the sky, whenever the word sama is used, it just means that which is above. Okay, that which is above. Now, the verse that you've mentioned, chapter 2, verse 22, هو الذي جعل الأرض فراشا والسماء بناء وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم لا تعلمون. Yeah, this verse, actually, what the word firash here, once again, it just means an expanse. And once many people have explained this, the word ard, and this is the problem, the word ard has more than one meaning. The word ard, which means here the earth, has the meaning of the earth, the planet earth, but it also has the meaning of the land. It has that which is below, just like sama is that which is above, ard, which means that which is below.
So you could endlessly explain what this could also mean.
No.
But I would like to give the average
in chapter 39, verse 5.
I would like to give the average Muslim viewer just one thing. Close your eyes. Think about it.
It's uncharitable.
No, think about a.
You need to
think about a scenario where you do not know what the earth and the universe looks like. Think about it. You are in a place and you don't know what anything looks like. You don't know anything about modern science. Yeah. You open this Quran. This is the first thing that you read, and you just read it, and you only read the description of the earth in the book. What will you think? The only conclusion that you can come to is that the earth is a flat bed that has a ceiling on it which cannot be cracked.
That thought experiment has actually been done. Okay, like I'm telling you again, the thought experiment has actually been done because Ibn Munada is a tabi'i, okay, which means the Prophet said, خَيْرُ الْقُرُونِ قَرْنِي ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ. The best generation is my generation, then the ones who follow them, and then the ones who follow them. So there's 3 generations, golden, they're called the golden generations. Ibn Munada is actually a part of the golden generations, meaning Ibn Munada is a Salaf. He is part of the golden generations. He is looking at the Quran. He doesn't have a telescope. He doesn't have any of these tools that you're talking about. And he says, we have a sanad that is sahih, a complete sanad which is sahih. He says the earth is round. So it's not fair for you to say this is what's going to happen. I've got the evidence to the contrary. Someone who lived 1,300 years ago, looking at the Quran, because he's looking, do you know what he looks at? The verses that Ibn Hazm mentions, chapter 39, verse 5, because yukawwiru, comes from the Arabic word kura. Kura means ball. When it says يكور الليل على النهار ويكور النهار كرة القدم. You know, you guys are Yemeni as well. You know.
Yeah.
Football.
So when Ibn Hazm, who is a literalist to the highest degree, he says that the earth is round because it says yukawiru, right? That the earth is round, and this actually was your strongest argument, I think, in one of your videos.
No, it was not. It was not. So what we're doing here, is that
did you put that argument in one of your videos? Number one,
no.
Earth is flat according to the Quran.
I made a video on that. I made a video on many things.
One reason why you think Islam is wrong because
the earth absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
Wow. So you don't.
This is not my number one reason.
So what is your number one reason?
My number one reason, there are many number one reasons, but what we're doing here is that for 1,000 years, the Muslim world had no idea of the universe, the galaxies, the planetary systems, the sky, and anything. We have gone through many Islamic scholarly ideas, and many ideas that the earth is the center of everything, that the sun goes somewhere at night. Even according to a hadith, Muhammad says that the sun at night the sun goes to a resting place, and it goes under the throne of Allah and prostrates under the throne of Allah and asks for permission to rise again in the morning, and then it's given permission to rise in the morning, and it comes back and rises, and one day it will not be given permission, so it will go back and rise in the west, which is inconceivable. The sun doesn't go anywhere. The sun is just here at the center of a planetary system, and we just revolve around it. No, I'm talking about this. So the Muslim world. The Muslim world and the Muslim scholars had no idea how things look like. We have now recently understood how things actually look, and now we're selectively going back and choosing specific Islamic scholars and trusting their ideas.
The point here is what I'm giving you is evidence from the early generations. So you can't say
we cannot just take evidence.
What do we do?
We cannot take.
What do we do?
Let me speak. This is why context is important. We cannot take selective scholars and their opinions at face value as single evidence that what you have said, for example, is entirely true. We could take many sources. I have taken many sources, much piece of evidence from early scholars who have argued that the Earth is definitely flat, who have argued that the Earth is definitely the center of the universe. So we cannot argue.
What I'm saying is that, look, the Quran says in chapter 3 verse 7, right? منه آيات محكمات هن أم الكتاب وأخر متشابهات فأما الذين في قلوبهم زيغ فيتبعون ما تشابه منه ابتغاء الفتنة وابتغاء تأويله. There are some of the book has muhkam verses which are very clear cut, and other ones which are ambiguous. Meaning the ones which are slightly ambiguous, which can have more than one interpretation, you can't say this. Like I will say to you, just as I say to some Muslim apologists. Some Muslim apologists say the Quran definitely says X, Y, Z. It says this. It says the expanding universe, the Big Bang. I'm saying, look, we can't be so sure to say that the Quran says that for sure. But at the same time, we can't say so surely the Quran says the earth is flat. I'm saying if you want to have a scholarly opinion, you have to allow for both interpretations to be allowed. What I'm saying is that we have evidence from the early generations that allow this interpretation, and we have evidence from the early generations which allow that interpretation. So those both interpretations are valid. We can't now confine something which is
no, of course,
to something which is narrow, because
no, of course, I'm just arguing
Islamic agenda. Some people have a pro-Islamic agenda.
No, I agree with that. Yeah. You think the Quran is that it can be combined with today's scientific knowledge of the world. I disagree. I disagree with that.
My point is that it can't be combined. All I'm saying is this: sometimes the Quran will not combine with.
I understand. We have different opinions. It is fine. I'm not saying
so long as Islam allows for a multiplicity of interpretations within the scope of exegesis, you can't say this is definitely what it means. Just like I would say to someone who's on the other side, that the universe is definitely Big Bang, because it says in chapter 21 verse 30 that كانتا رتقا ففتقناهما وجعلنا من الماء كل شيء حي, that they were one piece and then we cleft them asunder.
That is a huge misinterpretation of what.
I'm not saying that it means the Big Bang. I'm saying that you can't say for sure that's the Big Bang. In fact, saying for sure it's the Big Bang is problematic, because then there's like 4 interpretations according to At-Tabari, and you're taking one of them and pressing it forward. What I'm saying is that allow the scope, because when the cosmologists tomorrow change their opinion on what the universe constitutes of, then we're going to go back to square one and try and reinterpret the Quran again. Therefore, all I'm saying is that the Quran, by and large, I'm not even saying fully, by and large, is harmonious with 21st cosmological understandings if you accept one of many opinions. I'm not saying that it's definitely in all cases. I'm saying that, yeah, you can interpret the Quran, if you like, in an unscientific way, you see, in the ways that you have. But what I refuse to accept is that that's the only way to interpret the Quran. And you can't say that it is, because I've given you evidence to the contrary. So
you
now,
know what I think.
Now the challenge is as follows. The challenge is, as we said, we started off by saying the Quran it claims to be a preserved book, and I'm willing to defend that position. We talked about the prophecies. We talked about the fact that the Quran is multidimensional in its understanding of nature. We talked about the fact that there's no contradiction in the Quran. So the challenge now is for you, as one of the leading anti-Muslim polemics, is to provide contradictions within the Quran, okay, which are very clear and unresolvable from a logical perspective, or otherwise to show that there has been a prophecy that was made by the Prophet of Islam or the Quran that in fact did not materialize, that the Prophet or Islam said this will happen and the opposite thing happened, for example. These are falsifiers. These things have religiously disproving implications. You have to provide evidence, something that shows that this religion is wrong. Right now, all you've shown is
I would definitely appreciate it if you also
understanding of the scope of interpretation in Islamic exegesis. And
so we have just agreed that we can have different opinions on these things because you can interpret things differently, but you have, and I have even accepted that your opinion and your interpretation may be true, but you have directly ruled that my opinion and my interpretation is definitely wrong and that it is just a misidentification.
Can be true as well in terms of the unscientific stuff.
You just said it was wrong.
No. What I said was, if you want to say that the earth is flat, you're not going to be a disbeliever in Islam. Because if you say the earth, if you want to be a flat earthist Muslim, it's not a point of qatai, you're a disbeliever. That's my view. But
I think the Quran says the earth is flat.
Yeah, fine. If you think that, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But you can't say that that's exactly what everyone.
No, thinks. I don't. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
The early authority before the cosmological age, before the scientific revolution, before the Copernican revolution, before all of that, all of the positions that we have in science on a cosmological level now can be represented. I'm telling you,
that's good.
Can be represented.
I agree with that.
In early Islam.
Okay, that's good. I agree with that. I understand that. That's fantastic. It's fantastic. I find it fantastic that you have agreed that this is also a valid opinion. So
to disprove the Quran. So now, what are you going to do now?
No, I would appreciate it if you also referred to me as one of the biggest Islamophobes. I would really appreciate that because you have recently given the title to other people.
I said leading polemics online.
That's actually very good. I appreciate that. It flatters me very much. But you know what? I actually appreciate this very much, Mohammed Hijab. I think this has been a very fruitful and productive conversation so far, and I think this is fantastic. We could have done this. I mean, you have allowed me to give you some information, to give you some knowledge on the Quran, to further your knowledge and your understanding of Islam, and to give you some education on this topic. And I would appreciate it actually, considering that we are able to have such a conversation, such a back and forth in such a calm and good way, that we could come together and have an actual debate. So, which is what I actually offered to you. What do you think? What do you think about having a debate?
I regard debates as a beautiful thing. I have debates on a weekly basis. I used to go to speaker school all the time. I've had 7 formal debates. Usually, to be honest with you, I've now reserved my debating for someone who is qualified in the subject matter. Unfortunately, you don't meet the criteria, but I did make an exception for you.
Haven't you told me that you would debate me in person?
But it has to be. I don't believe that you're the A side. I believe that we have more to offer you than you have to offer us. We have more.
I don't claim
that's true. 100%. That is true.
I don't claim that.
Look, at the end of the day, if I wanted to fight Ngannou in UFC, yeah, and I'm saying you're a coward, Ngannou, you're a coward. How is he a coward? Or Stipe Miocic, I want to fight you, the heavyweight champion of UFC. I want to fight. You're a coward if you don't. He's not a coward. He's proven his worth. He's got the.
Well, that's a completely different area.
You're coming to me. You're coming to me. I'm the A side. I've got the gold. I've got the qualification.
Well, I personally think you're terrible in your understanding of Islam. But
I've memorized the Quran. You get it? I've done the.
It doesn't matter. I know people who. I know people who have memorized the Quran.
I've done what you haven't done. You have to allow me. And by the way, when I say I memorized the Quran, it's still weak and stuff, and there's still bits I have to recite to the sheikh. So I have to be clear here. But still, having said that, here, what I'm saying is, I have done the training. Do you get it? I've been through 10 years of extensive training.
So Again, I'm offering a debate and
food and doing your thing and enjoying your time and whatever atheists do, and watching TV and Netflix. I've had to memorize stuff. I've had to read books. I was in a dark room reading stuff. I've had to read.
I can brag about my knowledge here too.
It's not fair. It's not fair that you're calling me the guy that has to come to you groveling. You're the guy
you're not coming to me. We are doing something modern.
I know, but
you asked all the time. Come to London at any time. Come, we'll pay for your ticket. No problem.
No, we're doing a modern debate.
If you want a debate, a formal debate, I don't like online debates. You get it? I'm a big character.
Why?
I like to be on the stage.
Why don't you like online debates?
I don't like it, man, because for me, when it comes to debates, I like to actually get involved in the actions. You get it? I like to body language is a big thing. Right now,
to impress the audience. That is exactly why I don't want to have a personal debate with you, because I want to focus on the knowledge. I want to focus on the knowledge.
Engage the audience. I like to keep it. It's 3 hours. For me, my YouTube channel is a film channel. I don't even know why, but I realize why. It's because I engage people. If I speak in a monotone way and the way we're doing it online,
people are not monotone. I will not be monotone.
In a debate, like the David Wood debate that I've done, that's gone 2 million views, and people watch it to the end, man. 3 hours.
This will get 1 million. This will get 1 million views.
Like when I'm on stage with the David Wood, I'm engaging. This is me. I'm putting my soul into it, my passion into it, my body language into it.
If we have a debate, it will have 1 million views.
If I want a debate, I have to put everything into it. Do you get it? So what I'm saying, come down to London. We come down to debate. I'm never gonna. I'll never back down from any Islamophobe on the face of the earth. Let me tell you this. I'll make it clear. Any Islamophobe challenges me in any way, any Islamophobe, and I'm not gonna retract this. It challenges me in any way, unless I'm physically injured or incapable. Yeah. If they challenge me conversationally, physically in the ring, on the stage, Oqsum Billah, I'm there. If I get knocked out, I'm there. If Francis Ngannou tomorrow decided to be,
you have told me that I shouldn't be trusting you. You told me that I shouldn't trust you. Why should I trust you? Why should I come down to you and say you told me that
I feel alive.
I shouldn't trust you.
I look forward to death. I actually look forward to it. If it wasn't for my mum and my sister, my family and so on, I have to look forward.
Didn't you tell me that I shouldn't trust you?
Died. You get it? It's a way out of this testing life. I'd love to be.
Well, this doesn't make it easier.
No, I'm looking forward to death. I don't care about these things.
Saying that doesn't make it easier.
I don't care about death. Do you get it? Wallahi, I'm a Muslim. I'm a Muslim, brother.
I don't care either.
I am a Muslim. So I believe in a hereafter. I believe in a day of judgment.
Okay.
I believe in hellfire. I believe in heaven. I actually believe in those things, brother.
Preach.
I don't. I think it's pretty ridiculous.
People are going to live in the hellfire and crackle in there. And I believe that there's some people that are going to be in heaven and they're going to live there.
And you will live an eternal life without any purpose and nothing. You will live an eternal life doing nothing at all. Purposeless life in eternity. And millions of years on earth was completely empty, for nothing. Everything that we have done on the earth, everything that we have done in history, everything that we have built, all the civilizations, all the knowledge will all be gone. It will be all for nothing. And the only thing there is that we will die and go to heaven and live without purpose forever and just have our entertainment. What evidence?
Well, yeah, exactly. What evidence? Look,
what evidence?
I'm with his evidence. I'm showing you that the
what evidence?
Authoritative. I'm telling you that. Look, the Quran.
We should debate that.
Comes from Allah. How do we prove it? We show that. Look, the Quran is cosmologically coherent with the 7th century and with the 21st century. We're saying it has no contradiction. We're saying it's preserved. I'm willing to defend these positions right now. I don't need to go nowhere.
I would love to have a debate with you on this topic.
The Quran has no contradiction.
We're not debating. This is not a debate. This is not how a debate works.
I'm having a conversation. You're throwing things at me. I'm saying, look, I'm happy for whatever you tell me now. Your biggest evidence. We've seen your biggest evidences, because you have it online. You said you got 100 reasons why you're not. Number one is because the earth is flat.
I want you to stand before me and let me speak and then answer to me.
Pardon?
I want.
The earth is flat. I said the Quran says you kawiru layl an nahar.
I want you.
So
I want you to stand there. I want you to stand there and listen to me for 15 minutes to my biggest evidence, or to my 3 biggest pieces of evidence, and I want you to respond to me for 15 minutes.
You said it online.
No, I have not. No, I have not. That's not true. I haven't said that. That's not true.
You said
That's not
100
my biggest evidence.
why Islam is not. Why not to be a Muslim? Yeah, you have a video like that.
No, I have not.
You do. You say you count down. You're counting down the video. No.
No, I don't. I have a video called 10 reasons to reject Islam, for example. But that is not about rejecting Islam theologically.
Something about science. And at the end, you said that number one is because the Earth is flat.
That is 60 scientific mistakes. That is specifically about the 60 scientific mistakes of the Quran. Sure. But no,
we dealt with that.
No, it's not. It's not. I didn't.
It's number one.
It wasn't ranked. It was simply counted. It wasn't ranked according to what is strongest and what is weakest.
Reason. You said it. You said the number one reason.
No, I have not. I have not.
Okay, we'll look back.
I was just counting. I have three main reasons why Islam is definitely not true. And I will demonstrate them to you, and you will not be able to justify your beliefs.
I've been trying for 1,400 years. Okay, look, the Quran says,
and they have succeeded.
Contradictions in it.
Islam is dying.
Pardon?
Islam is dying. People are leaving Islam in masses.
There's going to be 1/3 of the world is going to be Muslim at
to 99.7% because of birth rates and the young age of Muslims.
Because that's a big chunk. 3% because of conversion. That's
0.3%. That means 3,000 people in 100 years.
About that, because
3 million people. Sorry.
Yes, 2020 to 2050. Apparently, there's been 4 million converts. But we deal with.
I doubt that.
According to Pew Research, from what I've seen,
Pew Research also said that the number of people leaving Islam and the number of people joining Islam is the same in the world. And the people
it's the same in the world, man, because otherwise there would not be a net inflow. What are you talking about?
No, according to their research in which they explain why Islam is growing, they're saying that
that article you're talking about. No, sorry, I've written this in my book as well. It's in the book.
No, and they are. What they're showing is that as many people convert to Islam as people leave Islam, and the issue here is that the vast majority of people who convert to Islam do it publicly, while the vast majority of people who leave Islam do it secretly.
Let me push back on that. You see, Pew Research published the research, and I think it was in 2017 or 18, and they actually said that the amount. And by the way, this is not an argument against Islam. Yeah. But anyways, let's go with it.
Of course, it's not.
Let me just come back on it. So, Pew Research said that. The amount of the amount of conversion into Islam is the same as the amount of conversion outside of Islam. Yeah, that was in the American context, and they had a methodology of 1,000 people that they interviewed, and they interviewed them on the telephone. And the majority of people that they interviewed on the telephone, by the way, were actually non-speakers of the English language. And we see that in methodology. If you go to methodology in the Pew Research, you have to look at they've got a methodological forecast, yeah, and they say that a lot of them were actually Shia. Shia came from like Shah. Iran, and then when they came to America, they couldn't speak English, and they were already refugees. So it was a disproportionate number of Shia that were representing that study, Iranians that were representing that study, and clearly, and I used to think that as well. I used to mention that to my congregationists. That, look, the amount of people that are leaving are the same. But when I looked at the methodology and when I actually published on this, because I actually published on this, and I've seen all of the studies, the demographic studies, in a book that I've written called The Scientific Deceptions of the New Atheist, which is actually free of charge in the Sapiens Institute. You can get it for free. And all of those demographics are actually flawed. What we actually find, to be honest, is that there is more people coming into Islam in the West than there are people leaving. And that's pretty much a general rule.
I'm looking at it right here. It's not about America. It's general. It's considered global. It is from Pew Research 2015 April. Projected growth between 2010 and 2020 to 2050.
You're getting it wrong. Do you know why? Because if it was about all of the people in the world, if it was about all the people in the world, then
it's not about America. How
could there be a net inflow? Because they looked at 2010 to 2050, and they said there was 3 million excess net inflow. So there was 3 million converts. But by the way, from our experience, because we deal with converts all the time. From our experience, in-house studies, we found that the majority of converts are actually private converts. Just like when people leave Islam, they're privately murtad.
That is definitely not true. Most people.
What's your evidence?
Because we see it. We don't need evidence for that. You don't need evidence for something that is so obvious out in the world.
Logical point.
The vast majority of people who leave Islam do it privately. They don't do it publicly because they are scared. I know many people who do it privately, including in Muslim countries. They have to have it on their ID cards, for example, and they don't get out of it. Whereas people who converge
because they're a part of a culture, a dominant culture, which is, let's say, Christian.
It's not true. It's not true.
Do you know how we know it's true from the British context?
How do you know it?
Yeah, because there was a study that was done. It's also in my book in the bibliography you can find. That there was they looked at census data because in England, in the UK, you have census data every 10 years, and that's probably one of the best. It's like the demographic gold standard. So they looked at census data 2001, 2011, 2021, 2000. We haven't done 2021 yet, yeah. But they looked at 2001, 2011. I think they looked at 91 as well, yeah. So this in that period of time, they look at the amount of people that identify in the census as Muslim, and so when they churned the numbers together, they found that actually, yeah, the numbers were one thing, but when they did small-scale sociological studies, they found that converts were less likely to tell their family members and therefore write in the census data that they're Muslim. Therefore,
less likely. That's all we have. Less likely is all we have.
They are. It's usually the leader of the household is writing it down. So they'll write down, if their kid has like a 16-year-old in their family has become Muslim, they don't know about it. They're gonna write Christian because they don't know that this guy's become Muslim. We know, like.
Well, I could say people who smoke are less likely to go to the gym. That doesn't mean
area. It's a dark area. We don't exactly know the numbers. Exactly.
I know, but I could say people who smoke are less likely to go to the gym. That doesn't mean that people who smoke generally don't go to the gym, or that the vast majority of them don't go to the gym. It may just mean that 2% more of people who smoke don't go to the gym.
What we're saying is that Islam.
That's not how statistics work.
No, it's disanalogous because you're talking about correlation versus causation. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the fact that when people become Muslim, they're also quiet about it. Just like when they leave Islam, they're quiet about it.
Well, we don't have any substantial evidence for that.
Pardon?
We don't have any substantial evidence for that. I've just
before there is good evidence from.
No good evidence.
You can refer to my book for that if you like.
Fine. Let's leave it. Let's leave it that way.
But before we leave it, I just want to say something, okay?
I would like to reiterate the one thing. I challenged you to. I challenged you to discuss.
Big audience of Muslim people. This is one of the biggest Muslim YouTubers on the net. You're not going to get an opportunity like this again. Believe me. Your opportunity. Believe me, Adam Salah, am I wrong? You're one of the biggest Muslim.
The biggest Muslim podcast in the world. We have most of our viewers are Muslim, and in this podcast, we
you got the biggest Muslim podcaster.
Yeah, I would like to reiterate what I said before. I think it would be a unique thing. I think it would be a unique thing for the biggest ex-Muslim influencer and the biggest Muslim apologist of our time to come together and to actually have a debate on the topic. Is Islam the truth? I said ex-Muslim. He's not an ex-Muslim. For the biggest ex-Muslim and the biggest Muslim apologists to come together and to have a debate on whether Islam is the truth.
Face to face. I'm saying to you, look, of all due respect.
So are you accepting the initial offer that you accepted, which is an online debate or not?
Well, I don't want to look.
So we have had a conversation. So you have no conversation here talking to me, but you have a conversation by having an online debate.
No, what I'm saying to you is this: look, you have an opportunity. Your goal in life is to try and show people that Islam is false. You have an opportunity.
I will use that opportunity once you allow me to have a debate.
You even want to postpone that?
This isn't going nowhere.
He already
isn't going nowhere.
He already had his.
End of the day, you asked a bunch of questions. Mohammed Hijab answered a lot of your questions in a very great.
He didn't answer anything. You don't even know anything about Islam. You just said that at the beginning of our conversation. What are you talking about?
That makes you. What do you know about Islam?
You just openly said that you don't know anything about Islam just before we started.
Where are your credentials?
He knows more. He
studied it. He has degrees in it. I'd rather have someone who.
I know. I'm saying.
Reason this, right?
Slim, I'm saying how can you judge this when you clearly said that you have no knowledge of Islam?
I'm judging.
No degrees. Look,
I have no training. I have no degrees. Well, you have certificates.
What are you good
I
at?
can. You know what I could. You have three. You have three certificates, right? I could go and I could.
Instead of leaving Islam was a.
I could pay $4,000 to get a certificate in Islamic studies, and then I would be qualified to the.
No. You got to do 10 years. Come back to me.
10 years. Have you studied each of your 4 areas for 10 years?
Not all together.
Not. Of course not. Because you have studied some of them for just 6 months or 9 months. I could apply for
you're not getting this.
Have you not? Have you not?
Subject,
Have you not? How long have you studied for a certificate?
Look,
how long have you studied for a certificate?
Pardon? For
how
each
long
one,
have you studied for a
depends on,
certificate?
like for the ones like I've done the political philosophy. Look,
how long have you studied for that certificate? I'm talking about certificates, not about degrees.
Like 3 years, 2 years for another one, 1 year for another one, 2 years. And you
1 year. You can get a certificate in Islamic studies for 1 year. I could go and pay $4,000 and do that. Would that mean I am now qualified to debate Islam with you?
Islamic seminary though. Like
no, I'm asking you the question. I'm asking you the question.
People have to go through Islamic seminary. Like
I'm asking you the
question. The seminary in Islam, then you can come back and talk.
Okay, I'm asking you a question.
Here's the thing: is look.
I'm asking you a question. If I paid $4,000,
do you agree?
If I paid $4,000 and I got a certificate in Islamic studies, would I then be qualified to debate Islam?
Do you know what it comes down to? Let me tell you something. Yeah?
I'm asking you a question. Can you just answer the question?
Again?
If I paid $4,000 and got a certificate in Islamic studies,
you got to do your work. Go and do the. What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
Certificates that you got in 1 year, because that's how a certificate works.
You're not going to go to a doctor and say, "Well, what certificates you have?" Oh, I've just been doing online videos. No,
so you're not qualified.
The guy has certificates. The guy has his qualifications. Otherwise, you're not going to go to that doctor.
So Mohammed Hijab is.
Why should we go to you for Islam? Why?
Hijab is qualified in 4 areas, including having certificates of 1 year.
But
I would not be qualified in Islamic studies by getting a certificate.
I could talk about political philosophy if I want. I could talk about history if I want. I could talk about comparative religion.
You don't even understand freedom of speech. You don't understand moral philosophy.
Why? Because I've been through processes. You haven't.
You have the poorest understanding of moral philosophy that I've seen in my life.
According to a layman, do you get it? You're a layman.
It doesn't matter whether I'm a layman or not. I will never study philosophy.
The misunderstanding
I said to him, "Look, I don't care what you prescribe for me. Yeah, I'm going to tell you what you should prescribe for me."
Okay. I would just like to ask a very brief question, Mohammed Hijab. A very brief question. Can I ask you a very brief question?
I'm not ready for this because you know what? Here's the reality of
this. I ask you a very brief question.
You're on the public, or you've asked. Questions. I've allowed you to ask me all the questions.
Do you think that because I'm an atheist who doesn't believe in God? Do you think that because I'm an atheist who doesn't believe in God, that means I have no morals? And
okay, let me ask you a question.
You have no morals by ripping up
the Quran. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry for people like you. I'm sorry for people like you, Puss. I'm genuinely sorry because what are you doing with your life right now?
Adam Saleh, you have an IQ of 80, 85, maybe.
You don't have an IQ.
Stop talking to me about Puss.
Of 1. You're a loser.
One is not how IQ works. So
people claim you. People do not claim you.
I don't care if he's an athlete.
He's a creative.
I am deeply sorry. If you insult me, I will insult you back. That's what just happened.
Look. Adam Saleh has an athlete.
I'm asking you a question. I don't care. I have no muscles here. I have no muscles. I don't care. It means nothing.
Relax. We're just saying your child
masculinity means nothing. I'm asking you a simple question. Because I do not believe in God and because I am an atheist, do you, as somebody who claims to be an expert in philosophy, do you think it is right to claim that I can have no morals and that it is therefore for me completely indifferent?
You laughed at someone eating the Quran. You
answer your question.
Like you just
go ahead, answer the question. As far as
you have no morals.
No, let me answer his question. On a level, I'm not saying that atheists cannot have morals.
You said that.
Atheists, what?
You said that to me.
He just said no. He just said he doesn't believe that.
No, hold on. Let me tell you my answer. Can I answer?
Go ahead, answer.
Sorry, come on. So I'm not saying that atheists, that's never been what I said. I've never said that. I'm very careful with my articulations.
Sure.
I never say that atheists cannot have morals. What I will say is that an atheist cannot have a claim to objective morality, which is different. So I'm saying this. On an atheistic worldview, yeah, you can't tell me anything morally. You can't tell me you should do this and you shouldn't do this. Why? Because on atheism, you have no mechanism which anchors morality.
Expert.
I've done the work. You haven't. That's the difference. There's even people like John Stuart Mill. We talk about liberalism. Yeah, they candidly tell you there is no proof that can tell you objectively in the book of on utilitarianism that there's no proof to show that this is objective morality. So what I'll say is that you can never make your major arguments. A lot of your major arguments yourself and many of the people like you against Islam is how is this and this is immoral, this and that. What I'm saying to you is that morally speaking, yeah, as an atheist, you have no anchorage, meaning you cannot claim anything is objective. Otherwise, I'll say to you, look, give me your mechanism, because you're on the record of saying that bestiality is okay. You're on the record of saying that
I have never said that. I have never said that bestiality is okay. I've never even talked about bestiality.
Incest is okay. You said incest is okay.
No, I have never said that either.
You said that.
You think incest is okay?
I have never said that.
Whoa.
I've seen that DM on Ali Dawa, and I see that DM.
I have never said that.
I've seen what you wrote.
We will see.
I have never said that.
Hey man,
I've said to Ali Dawa. He asked me, "Do you think it's okay for the father and the son to have sex?" I said, "If there was no harm to society and to the individual."
whoa,
Yeah,
no
it's
harm
petty,
to
like,
society.
whoa,
Whoa,
like,
hey, yo,
Shut up. I said, if there evidently was no
Hey,
harm
yo.
to society and to the individuals in having incest, then there would be no problem with it. But
Wow.
that is not reality because. But that is not reality because
What's going on?
such intercourse will have harm on the individuals and the society, which is why incest is not okay. Which is what I clearly said.
Objectively prove the harm principle.
We could go lengthily into the discussion on that.
Right now, you said something. You made it.
I will not discuss it.
You asked me to
I
prove.
will not discuss it. I'm correcting the planning which you made.
Objectively prove the harm principle.
No, I will not.
You cannot. That's the answer. You
I
cannot.
will. I will. I can and I will.
No, you can't. Don't shoot milk.
Within this week or next week, I will not know.
Let's not pretend to be.
Wait. I do not believe that there is intrinsic objective morality. I don't believe.
You don't believe in morality.
I don't believe that there is inherent objective morality, which does not
objective morality.
Do you understand philosophy at all? There is morality. There is morality on a descriptive level and then on a level in which you prescribe it to society. I do not believe that intrinsically there is objective morality in the world. I do not believe.
Sorry, I don't understand that. Sorry,
I do not believe that a human who is born into the world has objective moral values. I do not believe that.
No, that doesn't make sense. What you're saying
I do not believe that. I believe that there may be.
Your articulation is flawed. Your articulation is flawed.
What is flawed?
No, do you know why? Because what you're saying is, I do not believe when a human being has. Morality is not possessive in that sense. You're all over the place. You either
I'm saying that
you either believe in objective morality or you don't. You're either subjectivist or objectivist. Which one of the two are you? Are you subjectivist or objectivist?
Fine. I do not agree. Let me say it in different words for you because you don't understand basic.
No, because you don't understand English as a first language.
You don't understand basic English.
Don't try it. You didn't make sense in your articulation. Now you're trying to make me look like the person. No, your articulation was flawed. So now say it in a proper way.
And for a brute like you, I would like to say there is a difference between saying a society has intrinsic morality and the difference between saying a society should have morality or a society should have morals. A society has morals.
Do morals exist in objective reality or not?
Oh my God.
Yes or no?
That is not how this works. That is not how this works.
Yeah, really. So there's something that's called moral realism. What's
no,
not?
An atheist
objectively real or not? Are they real or not? A
person can have objective moral values, subjective moral values, relative moral values, and
are they objective or subjective?
What
in your view?
What? Say it again. I didn't understand you.
Okay. My question to you is so simple. Like, my question to you is: morality, is it objective or not? Are there such a thing as objective moral?
I don't think so.
So okay, good. So then, therefore, all of your moral arguments have collapsed against Islam.
No, they have not.
You've collapsed all your moral ones.
No, they have not.
Yeah, because anything that you say about Islam now, you say about Islam now morally doesn't make sense.
How morality works.
Morality.
That's not how morality works. You do not.
Morality works. So you believe it's objective. It's not true. It's not
objective. A nihilist, for example, can be a nihilist insofar that he does not believe that there are natural moral values.
Nihilism is not synonymous with objectivity. Right?
What are you talking about? A nihilist may believe that there are no,
no
moral values.
They're not subjective. It's not synonymous. Nihilism is something which is.
Of course, it's not. Nihilism.
So you're saying you're a subjectivist. If you're a subjectivist,
I am not.
You said you're not an objectivist. You must be a subjectivist. What are you then? No, stop pretending you. Wait.
Did you just say if I'm not an objectivist, then I must be a subjectivist? Is that
you have to be? If you're not, if you don't believe in objective morality, what are you laughing at, man?
So if I don't believe in objective morality, then I have to believe in subjective morality.
Yeah, because either objective or subjective. You've got two choices. What's the third option? Go on.
Thank you. I
Bro,
will go
you're
on.
not even on A
I will
level.
go on with that.
Bro, I swear to God, wallahi, uqsum billah, you're not even a C grade A level. You're not even a C grade. If I were to mark your work, bro, you're not on C grade.
Understanding of philosophy that I've encountered in my life.
You're not on, bro. A year 10, year 11 in ethics can get a better understanding of it. I'm saying a 16-year-old, a sharp 16-year-old will see that you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, what is the other option? You've got objective morality. Subjective morality. What's the third one?
2,000 years of moral philosophy.
No, go on, say it. What's the third
nothing.
option? You've either got
2,000 years of moral philosophy, all for nothing, because you cannot.
Objective morality, subjective morality. What's the other one?
What is it? Do you think there is no other option besides objective morality?
Yeah. I'm saying it's either objective or subjective. What's the third one?
So you think there is only objective morality?
Oh my God!
What's the third one?
To say.
What are you laughing at? That's not an answer, bro.
I will make a video response to you because I think this will be
You
hilarious.
don't need to make a video response. If it's not objective, it has to be subjective.
No, it's not.
You're gonna get laughed at. You know, cosmic skeptic, them guys, they're gonna laugh at you, bro. They're gonna associate with this idiot. With all due respect, you have not even a level understanding of morality.
I have just asked you.
If it's not objective, it has to be subjective. There's no other option. What can it be? There's no crossover. There's no middle ground. It's either objective or not. That's why you got it all wrong. That's why your criticisms against Islam are flawed, because you don't even have a basic understanding of moral philosophy. You don't.
So,
and you can't pretend
to the Muslim viewers who don't understand philosophy very well.
Oh, you don't know it. You have.
I want to say one thing.
You don't know.
I'm saying to all those viewers who don't understand philosophy very well, I would like to say. So what Mohammed Hijab said about objective morality is, for example, completely wrong. Which is,
go on, give me the third option.
If I don't believe in objective morality, for example, if I'm a person who doesn't believe in objective morality, that doesn't mean that I cannot have objective moral values. It can mean that my objective.
You either believe in objective morality or you believe in subjective morality. There's no third option. What's the third option?
You have just clearly said, when I asked you,
What's the third option? What is the third option? Stop laughing. Stop pretending.
When I just asked you about whether an atheist can have objective morality, you said that if I don't believe in God, that's fine.
Oh my God, we know he said that. What's the third?
I'm not trying to the third option.
We had hope in this guy. The great
atheists can have objective morals. An atheist can
objective. There's no third option.
An atheist may have objective morals that are.
What's the third option?
May have objective morals that are not based on the belief in God, for example,
that's a different discussion. You either believe in objective morality or subjective morality. You're saying there's a third option. What is the third option?
I'm not saying it to you. I will surprise you with that.
There's no third option. You will
not. Let's leave it by it. I asked you the question. Look, I was the one.
With all due respect,
Mohammed Hijab.
Look,
was I not the one?
Allow me to teach.
Was I not the one who asked you the question?
Allow it.
Was I not the one who asked you the question whether there are only three? Proof.
Submit to the knowledge. Allow it.
Was I not the one who asked you whether there are only two?
Pardon?
I was the one who asked you whether you are
objective or subjective. What you got the third?
Right, we're done. I asked you this question because I want to respond to you.
What's the third option? If it's not objective, it has to be subjective.
I will not respond to you because I know how you.
Well, why don't you answer the question? You're not answering. He's answering all your questions. You're not answering his questions.
He's not going to have a debate with me online.
Empty head. That's the reason why.
No, for the same reason that you're not going to have a debate with me online because you're scared.
Look, you know what? I don't think it's even going anywhere.
I know. I think so.
You haven't shown your abilities to be
I'm playing by my standards. You're playing by your standards.
Whatever,
I'm playing by my standards. I will take my discussions to my platform and respond to you. And people will laugh at you.
You really have nothing to say, do you? You really have nothing to say. Because here's the thing. We talked about the science and we realized...
I challenge you to a debate on whether Islam is the truth. And you have been scared to debate one simple topic with me.
No one...
Which you've said. You said you don't believe in objective morality. If you don't believe in objective morality, which means... This means... you know what the implication is? The implication is this. The implication is any argument you make against Islam, which is moral, if you're asking about... age of consent or apostasy or penal laws or anything you want to ask, from this day onwards, you have no right.
That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
That's why.
It could mean that my morality. It could mean that my morality is based on
your morality.
I could, for example, argue that morality is completely based on utilitarianism, for example, which is one example.
Jeremy Bentham, who's the founding father of utilitarianism, these individuals never said that it was objective.
What? It doesn't depend on individuals. This is not how it works. Utilitarianism is an idea. utilitarianism is an idea. It doesn't mean that it has to abide by the ideas.
Who made the idea of utilitarianism? Who is the philosophical founding father of utilitarianism?
That's not how this works. Philosophy doesn't work in a way that if you have
who put forward utilitarianism?
Let me educate you.
You can't, because I'm telling you, who is the founding father of utilitarianism? You can't even answer that.
Is this another?
Yeah, I love
Have you read Jeremy Bentham's books?
One more question. Is this another time?
Honestly, have you read it?
Is this
Jeremy Bentham?
Is this another assertion that you're making?
Jeremy Bentham.
If you abide by a certain moral philosophy, you have to agree with one person.
Who is Jeremy Bentham? Who is he?
Is what you're saying that if you abide by a moral philosophy, you have to agree with what one certain person who founded the philosophy or who has influenced it.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this: that
is what you just implied.
The definition.
I can have a utilitarian.
What's the definition of utilitarianism?
I can have a utilitarian point of view while not abiding by certain.
I'm asking you a basic question, man. What's
never answers no question.
You're not asking questions.
What's the definition of utilitarianism?
For
the greatest number.
It depends. For example, if a society decides that if a society decides that I'm answering your goddamn question. If a society decides that something is good, that something is better for society, to which they come as a result of the common consensus or due to new findings, then it means that this will be a law that society has agreed on, and this is utilitarianism.
That's not a definition of utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is not defined like that by any moral or political philosopher. By the way, and I've written essays on utilitarianism.
I'm really curious.
By the way, I've got something written on utilitarianism as well. It's called liberalism, and you can find it for free. Mohammed Hijab, put it on Google.
If something is good for society, that is good.
Liberalism, and you can find it for free. I've written about the stuff you claim to talk about. I've written about it, bro.
What will you nitpick now? What will you correct? So if something is good for society is good, what will you correct?
Arrogate to me. You're not a professor. You're not my senior.
At this point, I feel like you should just go and read Mohammed Hijab's books, because you seem like you're very lost. They're very misunderstood with Islam. So I recommend you to go.
One thing on this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back.
Please, just allow me just for a second. Yeah.
I've just described.
Give me a second. Let me just let me educate you. Let me share my knowledge with you. Innit? What's wrong? You educate me from your little no knowledge, from your Google search. Let me educate you with knowledge. Let me utilitarianism, really the greatest number, the greatest for the greatest amount of people. Now,
so isn't that what I just said? Isn't that what I just said? Isn't that what I just described?
Hold on for a second. Hold on. You didn't. You used democratic logic. It's different. What I'm saying
that's what I said.
What Jeremy Bentham in his book said. What Jeremy Bentham in his book he said it's very. And it's interesting because there's a Quranic argument against this. It's really interesting. He said you've got two lords. You've got the Lord of pain and you've got the Lord of pleasure. What the Quran says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Have you seen the one who has taken his own desires as a god? So it's interesting. The Quran has actually addressed utilitarianism in an interesting kind of way. Now, the thing is, what John Stuart Mill said is that, say if you have a gang rape scenario, yeah? This is a common analogy that's put forward. You've got a gang rape scenario. So you've got one woman and then you've got 5 men and they're all having their goes with her and she's not wanting it. She's getting raped, yeah? She got finished. Now, in this situation, is this good? Now, obviously, according to utilitarianism in a strict sense, it's allowed because obviously there's no harm principle in place. So John Stuart Mill said, look, in order to allow society to function, we have to put a harm principle in place. So that's how utilitarianism kind of was absorbed into social liberalism. Yeah. Now, with social liberalism, here's my point. John Stuart Mill, who really was a utilitarian at heart, and by the way, his father, James Mill, was Jeremy Bentham's friend. They were buddies. Yeah. Like this guy who wrote about utilitarianism, his father, James Mill, were friends. Now, he wrote a book. Now, in that book, he said, on utilitarianism is the name of the book, on chapter 4. Yeah. He talked about proving utilitarianism. Now, he didn't name it like that. He named it a long thing, as Cosmic Skeptic told me in the debate. But anyway, he took like a long title. But it's candid in there. He talks about desirability. Yeah. He doesn't in any way, shape, or form try and say that utilitarianism is in any way an objective morality. This is the problem. What I'm saying is you're saying you can have objective morality through utilitarianism. But Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, who were the philosophical founding fathers, they candidly said you can't really have that kind of thing. It's more to do with it's not meant to be an objective morality in that sense. So in other words, if you're pegging your moral value judgments on utilitarianism, You can't go and attack the Quran because you know why? You don't have an anchorage. You don't have an objective morality.
So I have just described utilitarianism.
The Quran says this and that. You can't say based on utilitarianism, because even according to those guys, and all the way through to today's scholarship, I'm telling you, I've read the journals, bro. I have read the journals.
I have just described utilitarianism. You have described the same thing while telling me it was wrong.
I've read the journals. I've read the books. I've done the research. I've done the degrees. Please don't arrogate to me, yeah.
Dear Muslims, please listen to this honestly. We have said the same thing.
It's not an argument that utilitarian liberal ethical scholars say that actually utilitarianism is an objective morality. It's not. They know.
I really wonder if you will actually release the whole talk. Yeah, I really have doubts about that.
Therefore, if you want to make a moral argument against Islam and say, "Oh, Islam is against this, and therefore Islam is wrong," it's a false argument. If you're basing it on utilitarian, if that's your seed bed, if that's your intellectual and epistemological seed bed, it's not going to work. So what I'm saying is that now
you don't have to have a specific morality.
And since morality has crumbled, what have you got left?
Exactly. He's just laughing.
So by disagreeing with me, you have destroyed me. That's how it works.
My question is, what you got left?
By disagreeing with me, you have destroyed me. Is that how it works?
It's not.
Is that how it works?
Look, I'm not here to destroy you. You're not worthy of me.
You have number one agreed with my definition of utilitarianism.
No.
Went ahead to describe it in the same way, and then argued that we have destroyed it. You have responded to everything. I agree that we have disagreements. You have argued that you have destroyed me.
This is at this point you just sound really childish, and you sound like you have an IQ of 39.
From viewers, if you want to make Islam win, you just have to respond to people and share your opinion. Because if you share your opinion, that means you have now won.
I have to. I thought you were going to come again.
This is the
Slim, bro. This guy had packed the punch. I thought he had packed the punch a little bit because he was coming rough on Twitter. He was coming tough on Twitter.
He was going to crack. I thought
this guy was eating the Quran.
You are an idiot.
Literally.
You have no knowledge. You have no knowledge of basic philosophy. You have no understanding of Islam. Your religion is a fraud. Your religion is fragile.
You're a fraud.
You have been finished.
A puss.
Fragile.
A puss.
To defend your religion.
You've tried to
remove him.
Hey, puss, it was good having you. Thank you for.
I think at this point,
for nothing.
You're not up to Mohammed Hijab's level.
You got nothing.
You're not. Nothing. You're finished.
No, but
And you're finished.
You're lying.
And you're finished.
And you're finished.
And you're finished.
And you're finished.
May you go read the books of Mohammed Hijab and
your wife.
See guidance.
Your wife care about
blessings.
Anyway, who cares about your wife? She's
care about your wife, right? If people want to rape your wife, would you care about
peace and blessings? Peace and blessings.
Shall I remove now?
Remove.
Your wife is a second Islam.